It's another Tuesday, which means it's time for the big three. Have another great show lineup for you guys. Have three of us right now. Jordan is on his way in, but life happens, so we'll carry it for a little bit until he gets on. But before we get into everything, Jake and Dylan, who I'm joined by, of course. How you guys doing?
Good. Can't complain. It's been a nice day. Nice weather, surprisingly. So ready to talk some hoops and some football.
Yeah. It hasn't been a nice weather day here. It's actually been rainy a lot here, so I can't say the same on the weather part. But overall, yeah, it's Super Bowl week. I mean, it's the biggest week in football.
Yeah,
So really excited for that as well too. And of course, we got the NBA trade deadline this week as well too. So it's kind of big for both sports. We got a lot to talk over. So yeah, I'm excited. And I mean, for me as a UFC guy, it's a big UFC week. It's number one versus number two pound for pound fighting this weekend as well. So don't see that every day.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Big week.
Uh,
Big week.
Absolutely. You guys touched on Super Bowl week, which we'll get into a little bit later. But the NBA trade deadline is on Thursday. We've seen minor moves with like Rui Hachimura and all that came before, but we did get a big trade with Kyrie Irving because we heard, after the game against the Celtics or whatever, where they got blown out, he came out with his request to be traded. I mean, since then we've seen some lower level players kind of request trades, which we don't really need to talk about them. But I guess just to start off with, how surprised were you that the Nets were able to work out a deal so quickly for Kyrie? And I guess what are your thoughts about Kyrie? Because now he's on to his fourth team now. I mean, do you think there's probably too much hype around him for what he kind of brings to a team, or kind of your thoughts? We'll start with Jake on this one.
Sure. So for the first question or the first answer is I was a little surprised it happened so fast because I think the trade request came on Friday and then he was traded on, was it Sunday he was traded? Like, it came really fast. The two trains of thought that I had is either I thought the Nets would maybe want to try and milk the market, maybe see what else they could get, trying to optimize the value they could get for Kyrie. But with it happening so fast, I think it honestly is just they wanted Kyrie gone. They were tired of his antics and they were tired of everything that he was bringing into the team. As far as what value he brings, I've always been, I guess the word would be like astounded at how with Kyrie, the following that he has. So many players, even on opposing teams, seem to worship him. Like they love Kyrie no matter what. Like KD seemed to hitch his wagon to him, even after had been burned by him a whole bunch of times. And I've always been wondering, like, why? Like, he was awesome in Cleveland when he was paired up with LeBron James. No one's going to doubt that. He hit one of the biggest shots in NBA Finals history, and he's always going to be remembered for that. But since the 2017 NBA playoffs, his last run with Cleveland, like, what's he done? Like, what's been the standout moment? I'll ask Kyle as a Celtics fan. That last season that Kyrie was there, like, how happy were you with Kyrie? Were you wanting him to come back, or were you wanting to drive him to the airport? Every Boston fan I've talked to or have heard talk about Kyrie was like, man, we were done. We were done. And I'm pretty sure they got to the Eastern Conference Finals that year with Kyrie not playing.
Yep.
Like, they managed to win without him. And I think that kind of speaks to what you get. You get a player that's unbelievably skilled, unbelievably talented, really fun to watch. He's not a leader, kind of a distraction, and he needs to be in a good situation. And I think his only good situation is with a leader that can really keep him in line. And I just don't know how many people like that are in the NBA.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, to answer the first question, I think I was a little bit surprised. I mean, it's Kyrie, so when you break it all down, the concept of him asking for a trade wasn't really surprising. That's pretty typical Kyrie behavior, just something sporadic and random out of nowhere like that. But overall, I'm a little surprised with the quickness of the trade. I do think no matter what, once he requested that trade, he was going to get traded, but I thought, like, the Nets were going to play it till the final like day, you know, because it seems like that's what a lot of teams were saying they were going to do. It's what the Raptors are like kind of doing with their pieces. And a bunch of other teams are doing with their pieces. So I didn't think we were going to get Kyrie moved till last couple of hours of the deadline. But to the Mavericks of all teams is surprising. I think this Nets team was really done. You heard Joe Tsai say that he did not want to trade him to the Lakers because that was Kyrie's preferred destination. That kind of shows you how done the organization is with him not even wanting to trade him to his preferred landing spot just because
Little animosity
he
there.
felt burned. I mean, you know, it seems like this team really, I wouldn't want to say hitched their wagon on Kyrie, but they definitely gave him a lot of chances, a lot of opportunities, and made it seem like they really believed in him. Like Jake said, Kevin Durant really hitched his wagon to him as well, too, believed in him, even though Kyrie did burn the team and the roster just multiple times. Yeah, overall, the compensation was Spencer Dinwiddie and what was it? Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith for Kyrie Irving and Markieff Morris.
Yeah,
So,
I think they got the first round pick in 2029, I believe.
Yeah, they got a first round and a couple of seconds as well.
And a couple of second rounders, yeah.
The reason being is the Nets said they wanted people that could really just play now, just kind of be plug and play type of guys. You know, hearing some of the other trade offers out there, it seems a little interesting that they went that route. You know, you hear the Suns were offering Chris Paul. You know, other teams are offering some pretty interesting other offers as well too. That Mavericks one is definitely a head scratcher, but who knows? You know, maybe they had more. They have a higher value on Spencer Dinwiddie and those pieces than other people wore that first round pick. So who knows? But overall, it's very interesting. I guess we'll see how this team does. I guess Kyrie's supposed to play Wednesday. I think they said against the Clippers should be his first day. We saw him, at workouts and media stuff today. So we'll see where it goes. It's going to be interesting. That's an interesting pair up with Luka and Kyrie, two guards that really need the ball in their hand to make it work. So we'll see how it goes.
Not good defenders either. That's a big thing. They're not good defenders.
I'm really interested too because like Jake brought up a good point. Like Kyrie needs someone to kind of like hone him in, like kind of be that leader, and it doesn't really. I'm not sure where Luka kind of fits in that aspect because Luka gets a lot of question marks about being a team player. He whines a lot when it comes to the refs. He overreacts when it comes to fouls. It doesn't seem like he's really there himself. He kind of seems like he needs someone to kind of put him into place, be a mentor for Luka because he's a very young star as well. And throw Kyrie in there, you expect him to kind of be that mentor, and Kyrie needs a mentor himself. So it'll be interesting.
I think what Dallas is probably banking on is maybe Jason Kidd, even though he's the coach. I think Kidd has had some dealings with Kyrie, so I guess that's what they're hoping.
Yeah.
But I do think the fit with Kyrie and
Kidd had his troubles too.
Exactly. So it's a weird situation. Now I have seen at times where Kyrie kind of would step aside and let KD do his thing on the court. So I do think he and Luka may actually work better than some people think. It's just that, like you said, Jake, with Luka and Kyrie as your lead guards, neither plays defense.
Yep.
Like opposing teams that have good dynamic like backcourts, what's Dallas going to do in those situations? And I mean, they'll have some wing guys, I guess, that can maybe switch on to them. But now you're trying to hide Luka and Kyrie defensively, and I think that's where it's going to get a little tough against certain teams.
It is, and the real problem that they had is that their best wing defender they just traded, Dorian Finney-Smith. Like, I like Dorian. He's always been a really hard worker. He seems like a glue guy that you want on your team. Is he flashy? No. Is he a great offensive threat? Not really. But is he a good defender?
Threes.
Yeah, he's great, and he was huge for the team. And now it's like, well, who's their best defender for the wing? Like, that's a big question mark, and I think we're just gonna have to wait and see. I mean, maybe they'll just try and outscore everybody in a ridiculous manner, and defense does it. But that doesn't really fly in the playoffs. So we'll see.
Yeah. I imagine this is a team primed to make maybe one or two more moves. I mean, it seems pretty evident. Like Jake said, you traded away your best defender and didn't get any defense in return back. I'm sorry, Markieff Morris isn't going to be that wing defender for you. Yeah,
not anymore.
I'm surprised. I didn't even know if he was still in the NBA, to be completely honest with you, before you got traded. So it's going to be really interesting. I would be really interested to see if the Mavericks could try to figure something out to get like an OG and an Obi there. That would be an interesting piece. You traded for Kyrie. Why not go all in at this point? You know, if you're hitching your wagon to Kyrie, you must be in the all in board. So why not try to go big, not get a necessarily, I wouldn't call him a massive piece, but a piece to like definitely, be better, help out this team, especially on the defending end. Plus, he's a good 3-point scorer as well. Be interesting to see what they do. Yeah, this is a trade deadline that seemed kind of boring on paper, and now it's kind of like, ooh, after this Kyrie trade, it's like, what are teams gonna do? It seemed like maybe we're gonna get a couple of moves, and now it's like Kyrie's traded, so anything could happen.
Let's see what happens. Sure.
Right. Yeah.
For sure.
Just
and
wanna go back.
Go ahead,
Oh,
Kyle.
go ahead. No, I was gonna say real quick. Michael chiming in. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Michael. Thanks for tuning in. And Coach Dante, appreciate you tuning in as well. Just want to get those out of the way. Yeah,
for sure.
Go ahead, Jake.
So as far as what Dylan was saying, as far as like what else is going to happen for the trade deadline, your initial reaction would be that Brooklyn would be looking to trade Durant, because my thought process is Brooklyn is not going to be able to contend this year with the roster that they have, the players that they got. It ain't going to happen. And Kevin Durant hasn't yet announced a trade request. Brooklyn came out and said that they're not wanting to trade him. And I think it's really evident with what Dylan said, where they took this package from Dallas to get the best players available, as opposed to the best assets available. Because of all the assets that you could get, the best assets are those Lakers picks. Those picks are going to be gold, because LeBron James isn't going to be there. Anthony Davis isn't there. Lakers really have been struggling as a franchise to bring players in, to develop players. Those picks are going to be really good. So you would think that if Brooklyn was taking a more long-term approach, they would have sent Kyrie over to Brooklyn, get those picks back, but they seem to want to win, which I just find odd. I would think that you would want to try and maximize on Kevin Durant's value, because so many teams, Phoenix would turn over almost anything to try and get him.
Yeah.
So I think what's going to happen here?
I think Phoenix is a good team. Phoenix or like Toronto, like both those teams. Toronto would be. I guess Toronto wouldn't be in the market for it, but Phoenix definitely would be like an interesting piece. Like, man, they'll give you Miles Bridges. If you want Miles Bridges, you'll get Miles Bridges.
Yep.
If you want DeAndre Ayton, you'll get DeAndre Ayton. Like, you have all the leverage with Kevin Durant. It's like you're trading a number 1, number 2, number 3, depending on where you have Kevin Durant, a top 5 player in the NBA. You have all the leverage. Like, and if it gets to a point where he's on good terms with the Nets are like, okay, like, I think we're going to reset. Like, we can get a lot of value out of you. Like, we're ready to reset, just get some young pieces, use those picks we get. Like, if they leave off on a good term, like, they'll be even better for all parties aside. So it's like, man, like, I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know what the Nets are doing. Like, you could, if I could get Miles Bridges, like 3 first-round picks and another young star, like, man.
Because you're not going to win with this team, especially in the East. The East is way too good. The teams that I'm thinking could make a serious move for them would be Memphis Grizzlies or the New Orleans Pelicans. They both have a lot of really good young players. They have a bunch of draft picks. They could put together any package and be like, okay, look, here, just pick some of these things. We'll give you some players. We'll give you some picks. And Kevin Durant's going to go to a team where he can win. It's not like he's going to go to a bad team or a team that's going to get completely stripped bare to get him, because those teams have deep stacked rosters. Question I want to throw out is, if you're Kevin Durant, do you request a trade? Do you want out of Brooklyn?
I think so.
Well, I
think so.
I feel like they said like he met with the Nets or whatever. So could it be something where he went in there trying to figure out what their direction is? If maybe they told him that they have a couple of deals on the table to bring him some other pieces. I don't know. I kind of doubt it, but I think also on the Nets side, it's like, okay, we got rid of Kyrie. If we trade KD, now we're kind of left with pieces and Ben Simmons. Because Ben Simmons is like the asset you probably couldn't give away for free.
Yeah, I hear he has zero trade value in the league.
Right.
Like, zero trade value.
So I think they're probably more likely to try to convince KD to be like, okay, this year might be rough, but we can make some moves now, maybe some stuff in the offseason, and maybe we're a better team next year.
I think it could also be one of those things where, like, they're like, hey, give us the rest of the season. Like, help us to try to facilitate some trades. You know,
Yeah.
we'll give you any offers that we get. We will bring to you, and if you like it, and we're like we can agree on a price or whatever, like that's something we're willing to do. And give us an off season. If we can't make anything happen, you want to request a trade in this off season after free agency or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, understandable. So I think it's one of those things like probably Kevin Durant's like, man, I don't want to pick up and move this year. Like, I already got a place here. Like, let's see what we can do. And you know, maybe the Nets might not be a contender team, but it's still with Kevin Durant, you could still be a playoff team. And maybe he's just kind of fine with the fact like, hey, maybe we don't need another star here. Just get me some players who just want to get here and play, and I'll be the star that we need here. And it could be one of those situations, you know. Maybe he's tired of having a star. Who knows? It's so interesting with Kevin Durant. He's not in the same boat with Kyrie, but they both have interesting attitudes when it comes to the game. It's like
Mhm.
1 minute like they're committed, and the next thing you know, it's like I would rather not be here. So
No,
It's
it's
just-
it's a good
it's very
point. Like
interesting.
he's a very unique individual. And remember, he did request a trade or to have the GM and the coach fired this summer. I think what Dylan is proposing or suggesting is probably what happened, where he met with the team and they're saying, look, like don't sabotage the year. Give us 6 months or whenever like the trades open up in the summer to really work with teams to maximize the return that the Nets can get. We'll try and get you to your preferred situation. The Nets don't become at that point a laughing stock because Harden requested a trade and then Kyrie and Durant, like the Nets would just be, I mean, they kind of already are because they're
Mm-hmm.
always in the media for no reason. It's kind of a way for them to save face. The only thing I would be concerned about if I'm Kevin Durant is like how many more years do we have of this prime Kevin Durant? He's not, no one else is going to be like LeBron James, where you could just be pushing into 20 plus years at this elite level. Kevin Durant, you only have a couple more years. He's going to get hurt a couple of times every year. Like you have to maximize because he's playing at an MVP level this year. And it's just kind of a shame that this team is just so chaotic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I also think for Josiah in Brooklyn, you know, maybe they think with Cam Thomas now getting the opportunity and how he's played
It's been
so
going crazy.
right. So maybe they think now with Kyrie out of the way, you know, maybe Cam Thomas becomes a legitimate rotation guy. You bring it back Dinwiddie, who was his first stint in Brooklyn, was a pretty good player. So if he comes back and finds that again, you know, we already talked about Dorian Finney-Smith as kind of a glue guy. He kind of fits like the Royce O'Neal role, which they already have him as well. So it might be interesting. Maybe O'Neal is a guy who maybe gets moved. I don't know. But maybe they could sell Durant on this team. Just give it time. You know, yeah, we're probably not going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals or anything this year. But these pieces, we kind of use this here to evaluate like who we need, who we can move on from, and then kind of build a little new core around you and whichever guys seem to fit best with you. Now it's going to be whether or not Durant's like down for that kind of plan, or if it's something where, you know, he gets word like Phoenix wants him, and he goes to Brooklyn and is like, "Send me there, just get me there." Then maybe that's where it comes into play. But I mean, I doubt if he hasn't requested a trade. Like we're coming up on Tuesday night, could Brooklyn turn around Magic again like they did with Kyrie, and in a couple of days work out a trade for Kevin Durant? I guess it's possible, but I think it's unlikely. So I think he's there the rest of the year. But my question to you guys would be one, I guess going back to Kyrie where we started this. Do you see him, I guess, re-signing in Dallas, or do you think he's moving on after the year?
I think he resigns. I feel like Dallas being the team trading for him, they're the team the most willing to give him the most money. You know, it's like we already traded all this stuff away for him. Like why not try to sign him back to an extension, regardless of what it was? I feel like if Kyrie hits I also feel like Kyrie would be more eager to re-sign with them too. Being that if he hits the open market, like I feel like there's some teams that yes, as great of a talent as he is, might not want to sign him or give him as much money or give him the type of deal that he wants without incentives, which seems like that's something he's very against. It's like man, you're a great player, Kyrie, but also these teams are not willing to fully commit to you. And if the Mavericks are willing to give you a contract that you like, I feel like an extension is very possible. I feel like the Mavericks, I'm not sure how trades work because tampering and stuff like that, but I imagine if during the trade talks, they probably spoke to Kyrie and were like, hey, like, we want to keep you here. We want to get an extension done. And if they had a good talk, that's probably why they were more eager to do a trade. But you never know with stuff like that. We saw how the whole Kawhi situation went down. Like, he was just there and gone.
Yep. I think the first thing is no one can ever really actually know what's going on in Kyrie's mind because he's such a unique individual that trying to guess is just, you may as well play the lottery for that aspect. But I do think that of all the teams that he's likely to be with at the start of the year, next year, it would be Dallas because Kyrie's wanting to get the most money he can. He's lost a lot of money recently. He's lost all the sponsorship deals. They're all gone. He got a bunch of fines for the COVID stuff. He missed games, so he wasn't getting those game checks. He's missed a lot of money, and he wants to make the biggest contract. And if he were to become a free agent, the way that the salary cap works in the NBA, you can't just like the Lakers couldn't just sign him for a big contract because they're salary capped out. Whereas since you trade him, you acquire his bird rights. You can go over. Like there's so many ways that you can the Dallas Mavericks can create a contract that's nuanced where it's beneficial for both parties. I think he stays there. And outside of the Lakers, like what other teams would really want to take him on? I could see the Clippers maybe doing it because they're always just trying to be in this window situation. But the other contenders, I don't really see a whole lot of those teams that would really want to take on that risk because it is a big risk when you sign on with them. So I think Dallas is probably the best bet. And there has to have been some sort of wink, wink, nudge, nudge on, hey, we're going to offer you a good contract if you're on good behavior before the trade happened.
Yeah. I mean, what also helps Kyrie in this is that, was it Texas with no state
income tax? Yep.
So maybe that's a draw for him. I also think maybe with Mark Cuban as the owner and his kind of energy, maybe he is the kind of owner that makes Kyrie feel welcome. I don't know. I guess like next few weeks in the season where we get to see him and Luka on the court, we'll have to see, do they create any chemistry? Do they, I guess, go on a little winning streak and they start feeling good and then maybe his mentality changes? Or if they struggle, that's where I think Dallas could be in real trouble because, as we know, Kyrie could be happy 1 minute, upset the next minute. He could step away. Who knows? So, starting with Wednesday, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to be watching that game to see.
I'm very interested.
Yeah, Luka and Kyrie on the court to see who
Must
brings
watch
the ball
TV.
up. Who, if it comes out to a situation late in the shot clock, who has the ball in their hands? If we're even lucky enough to late game situation, need their last possession, need a bucket, who's taking that shot? So
I mean,
definitely
it's going to be very interesting because we give a lot of flack towards Luka and being like, in this whole situation, being like, man, we don't know if this is going to work. Luka has to be like a main ball handler. And it's like, does he? It's like, we've never seen him play with a main ball handler like that.
Right.
It's like, we haven't seen him play with a Kyrie type of player, a player that can make his own offense. So it's like, maybe that could be better for Luka. Maybe he just fits him in a better playmaking role and gets his buckets whenever he wants. So it's like, there's still some unknown to this combo. Of course, that's why people are going to be watching the game, but people thinking like, hey, this isn't going to work in a sense. Like, these are two people who need to make their own scoring. Like, I don't necessarily believe that. You got two of the greatest playmakers, at least when it comes to the guard spot in the game right now, playing on the same team. Like, it's hard to believe that they couldn't make something work.
Yeah. And
no, I think they can make something work. And I think the big reason why this trade was made this year as opposed to other years is the West is wide open. And it's been wide open all year. I mean, right now, if I'm looking at the standings, they're the 6th seed, and they're just 4 games back from the 2 seed. Like, they're not that far out from having, a home court advantage in the first round. They're right there. There's a lot of teams that have a lot of question marks about what they can do. And I think this is a move where they're like, you know what, we gotta show Luka that we're trying if we want to keep him. We don't want to have a situation where we just keep kicking the can down the road for when we're going to make a move and hope Luka just decides to stay here his whole career, because that's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows, even maybe behind the scenes, right? When not Luka, Kyrie requested a trade, Luka went up to the Mavericks and was like, I would like to play with him. Like,
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe they have a connection. You never know with NBA players. You never know who knows who really, or who's friends when it comes down to it. But like, maybe Luka had a connection with Kyrie before and was like, hey, like, I would like to play with him. Like, I feel like we could make a run if you give me someone like Kyrie on this team. And they saw an opportunity and went with it. So who knows? I'm very interesting. The Mavericks were definitely one of those teams that were like, I could see making a move, but they were definitely on the lower tier. Like, I saw the Suns, the Lakers, like the Timberwolves, the Heat, like tons of teams making this move rather than the Mavericks. And now that he's on the Mavericks, I'm kind of like, oh, like this is interesting. Where do we go from here? Like,
yeah, I think the Kyrie would be on the Suns if Chris Paul didn't fall off a cliff this year. If we got the Chris Paul we saw last year and they offered that trade, then I think that happens. But then again, would Phoenix make the trade offer if Chris Paul wasn't playing this poorly? I mean, it was inevitable. Like small guards, it just happens. We all can't be LeBron James.
Yeah. Jay Crowder almost got traded. They almost finally did something with Jay Crowder in that trade.
Jay Crowder, man.
I mean, he has to get moved by Phoenix.
He will.
Sure, it's
He
not
will.
the Kyrie deal.
Why hasn't they just, like, I've heard Milwaukee keeps trying for him, and it's just like, take whatever Milwaukee gives you. Like, he's not done a single thing for you. Like, a second round pick will be more than what Jay Crowder has doing for you right now, or will do for you in the future. Like, like they were giving you players too, like young pieces like Jordan Nwora and a couple other guys and some picks. So like, take it. Let Jay Crowder play basketball. That's all he wants to do.
Yeah. Well, I guess one last question would be, now that we know the deal they got from Dallas, then the reported deals from the Lakers and the Suns or whatever, was this the best package that the Nets could have gotten?
I'm going to say...
go ahead, Dylan. Go ahead.
I'm going to say no. I don't know. It's very interesting because it's like we don't know what teams value players as. Like, you don't know if maybe the Nets valued, like, for example, Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith's defense more than like a Chris Paul and a Jay Crowder would be, more than these picks would be. It's very interesting. It seems with that Lakers thing, they wanted either Max Christie, Austin Reeves, and the pick. So it's like they seemed like they wanted to go really young, or they wanted to get players who could play right now. And it seemed very interesting. I'm going to say no because, like we said earlier, this Nets team isn't a championship caliber team. So it's like, why are we trying to trade for more and more pieces when we could just get younger and get picks and, use those potentially to get another star here with Kevin Durant in a still winnable window. So it's very interesting. Maybe Dinwiddie, it's really hard to tell. Maybe Dinwiddie goes crazy there. Maybe he turns into an old, the Nets guard that he was there and starts averaging 20, 30 points a game. Only time will tell. But overall, if the Nets want to win now, I guess it's one of the best trades they probably could have got. But overall, I don't think they're a win now type of team. So I'm going to say no.
It comes down, I mean, if the Nets are wanting to win this year, this is probably the best offer they could have got as far as for winning in the playoffs, and maybe hoping for injury luck on the other for their team and injury bad luck for the other teams. But as far as if I were the GM, I'm taking the Lakers picks. I'm taking those every time. They're worth gold. I'm probably, if I'm the Nets, I wouldn't even be using them to draft. I wouldn't be using them in 27 and 29. I'd be using them to bring in an asset, because a lot of smart teams are going to be going after those draft picks, knowing that they're going to be probably really, really valuable, especially if they're going to be unprotected. But again, the Nets they seem to be wanting to cling on to some sort of hope that they can be relevant, that they can still maybe win a first-round playoff game. And if that's their goal, this is probably the best bet. But if I'm the GM, I'm sending Kyrie to the Lakers, even if that's where he wanted to go. And I have animosity towards Kyrie. I want those picks.
Yeah, to even like think like definitely, I like definitely what Jake said. Like they don't even have to draft with those picks. They could have traded it for another star. Like you have someone like Zach LaVine who's expressed discomfort. Like wait on off season. You got 2 first-round picks. You could throw that some other pieces into a Zach LaVine trade, and now you got Kevin Durant and Zach LaVine on a team. That'd be a lot more interesting than wait until 2027
Yep.
to see the kid in 8th grade get picked.
Yep. And you could also use that pitch to Kevin Durant where you're like, look, we're going to make this trade. We're going to get these 2 picks. We're probably going to bring in Westbrook, and we know there's history there, but just trust us. We're going to use these picks, and we're going to get you another dude. Just give us to this whole summer. Let us work through this summer before you make any big decisions on anything. But they didn't do that, and we'll just see what Spencer Dinwiddie can do. I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie seems to be a guy that people always want in trade rumors, but once you get him on your team, you're like, is he really that good? I mean, I watched him play 1 season in Washington when I went to a game a couple years ago, and it's like, he's fine. He's okay, but like, is he going to change the fate of a franchise as your second best player? No.
Man, and the even crazier thing about that, like thinking about it contractually wise, like they should have done. I feel like that Lakers deal was just the smartest way to do, because even if you decided like, hey, like I don't want to like Westbrook on this team, you could buy out his contract.
Just buy him out.
That would be very easy, and now you have a lot of cap space, like 18 million or something, freeable into the next offseason. And then, or you could just, if Kevin Durant was like, I'm fine playing with him on the team, like you could definitely like just keep him. And then if you don't want to re-sign him, there you go. He's a free agent. You have all that cap off the books now. Go sign some good people with your mid-level exception, some good role players, because you'll have a decent amount of money to spend then.
Yeah. What's going on, Jordan?
What's going on, man? Sorry, man. Work had me beat today, man.
Yeah.
But what's going on, fellas?
Right, no, we're just talking about Kyrie and the whole deal to Dallas. We kind of went through all that, and now we're seeing in terms of the package that Brooklyn got back. Did they get the best offer that they could have? Jake and Dylan brought up a good point that the Lakers picks were intriguing because that's going to be post LeBron. So you figure the Lakers will probably be lottery teams those years, which would look better for Brooklyn. But the philosophy might have been take the guys who are more, I guess, willing to, or I guess more ready to contribute to the team, I should say, this year. Hopefully that makes Kevin Durant happier and makes him want to stay around. So that's kind of what we're going back and forth with. So I guess what's your thoughts on Kyrie before we move on to
so my thoughts on Kyrie going to the Mavs or just the whole I mean, I thought the Lakers were like the front. I know it was the Lakers and the Mavs were the front runners to get him, the clear front runners. I think the Suns of Miami, they're kind of like in the mix too, but I don't know. Like I mean, I don't like to endorse other, analysts on here, but like Jay Williams, right? He was on, like, I think ESPN TNT or something like that, like breaking down like the offense of the Mavs, and because before I saw this breakdown, I thought that Kyrie and Luka, they're both ball dominant players, so they both want the ball in their hands. But when I saw the Jay Williams breakdown, I think it was Tristan Thompson. I think it was I forget her name, the dark-skinned analyst, Adika Akunowe. She's with like
Agumake.
Agumake, yeah, she's on there with usually with Candace Parker and stuff. And what's the analyst's name? Malika Andrews. So they're breaking it down and basically saying that, say if they're in the offense and Luka has the ball, right? He's most dominant like ball handler on that team, so they're going to double team him and leave Kyrie open on the other side, on the right side. So I think Jalen Rose was saying how like where Kyrie is open on the double team on Luka, Kyrie is good on that right side. That's where he hit that shot against Curry in the finals. So he's used to that area. So maybe a co-work with the whole like pick and roll or like off ball. But Kyrie, I think this is a season rental because he's moving out west. He's gonna be in LA next year. That's my prediction, man. Like maybe we'll see Cuban.
There it is.
I'm saying maybe Cuban. If Cuban is smart, maybe he'll sign Kyrie long term. But maybe we'll see how they do. Like become the when it comes to the end of the season. But I just don't know if it's gonna work because like Kyrie and they're both. So someone's gonna have a sacrifice not putting up 50 a night because Luka does that like on a nightly basis or almost every other game.
Luka has a 30-point triple-double. How rare.
And Kyrie, I mean, he's gonna be. I mean, I don't know. We'll see how it works. But even Kidd and I think Cuban said that this could win him a championship. I don't think they have. I mean, they lost Finney Smith. He's a good stretch big man. They really don't have any big men other than Christian Woods, or maybe Powell.
Yeah.
So they maybe I mean, he's a good shooter though. But they don't have a true like other than when he comes back. I think he's hurt Christian Woods, but I don't know. I guess I think they play tomorrow. Well, potentially his start is tomorrow, so we'll see how that looks. But I don't know. I don't think it's gonna work as well as people thought. I think it might bring fans into the arena more because they got Kyrie's box office. But as far as winning a championship and going deep into the playoffs, like either one's gonna have to sacrifice giving up those points and like giving one to another, or maybe Kyrie.
It'll be Kyrie. He
Or maybe
did
they
it with
both get 50
Durant. He would kind of stand around if Durant was going. So I don't have an issue with Kyrie there. I mean, you did say, about them both being ball dominant, but I think they'll work it out. And I guess, the question I asked Jake and Dylan, I'll ask you once again before we move on. I mean, you kind of already answered it because you said you see him in LA next year.
Yeah.
I think Dylan said he thinks he stays in Dallas and Cuban re-signs him. And Jake said the same thing. So I also said like these next probably couple of weeks are going to be important because we're going to see can he and Luka form some chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, then it's probably more likely he's probably moving on because I'm sure Cuban's looking at this like, yeah, I'm not going to approach you with a long-term deal now. Let's see if it works first. But I don't know. It's an interesting dynamic for sure.
It is. One thing to note, though, Jordan, for you wanting him to come to your Lakers, you guys are in a tough salary cap spot. You guys are projected to have $34 million in salary cap with 4 players.
Well, people forget that Russell Westbrook's contract is off the books, so that's more money.
That $34 million is accounting for
that's for Russell?
For Russell Westbrook being gone, and your roster for players signed for next year, just looking on Sport Track, is LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Damian Jones, and Max Christie. That's everyone that's under contract.
Isn't Max Christie on like a rookie deal though?
Yeah, but I'm saying you have
the 34
4 roster
you have to
spots.
fill out a roster with
You have to fill out 11 spots with $34 million. And Kyrie's looking to get that bag, get that max deal. Might be kind of tough. That's I know you ride hard for your Lakers, but just
I was just having talks to my friends that are LA fans and Mavs fans, and they said this could be a rental. Because he was on the East Coast going to the Mavs West Coast, maybe they can work it out with Luka. Maybe like Kyle said, this is like I wouldn't say a week. This is probably like a couple months because like playoffs, they're gonna be in the playoffs. So I mean, we'll see after the All-Star break if they can get a rhythm, and they do. Mark Cuban should sign to a contract or a long-term deal, but if not, he's probably gonna go to LA and deal with LeBron. I don't know. I don't know why Kyrie was. I mean, LeBron was like, duh, like when he was asked, like, because they played before, like in the interview. And then Kyrie said, like, I mean, he wanted to play with LeBron, but I was shocked when the Mavs were kind of got him. But I know Cuban said that Luka is the best all-time ball handler on our team, and Kyrie's the second best. So we'll see.
All right. Well, one more bit of NBA news that we definitely have to talk about is LeBron. Looks like tonight will be the night where he, breaks the scoring mark.
Yeah.
Becomes the number 1 guy. I'm sure they stop the game.
Dylan, what do you say in the group chat, man? I'm gonna leave for Lonnie Walker's high bounce and
I know. You're talking about how you're like, hey man, like the podcast can't run for too long.
Yeah, man, it's at 10 o'clock, man. So I gotta get going, man.
Whatever. But big moment, I'm sure the game will stop. There'll be round of applause and all that kind of stuff going for him. But
Right.
I mean, he might.
People are
might
start
do-
throwing roses on the floor.
He might do the Denzel tier, just one, streaming down, gets all the emotion of the whole situation. But question would be, how do you see, I guess, LeBron breaking the mark? What kind of play do you think it is?
It has to be a dunk. It has to be a breakaway dunk and him just like slamming it down with like a one-hand tomahawk.
Yeah.
Like it has to be an iconic dunk.
Yeah.
Or it has to be him doing that little windmill he does, like the windmill reverse has to be something iconic.
I'll agree with Dylan. It has to be something big. It has to be something memorable and typical of LeBron James. A good example
Yeah.
I'll say is, I'm a lifelong Utah Jazz fan. When John Stockton broke the all-time assist record, they were blowing up the Denver Nuggets. They called a timeout when he was like one away. They subbed Karl Malone back in, and they ran a play specifically for Karl Malone to make the basket because that was what, Stockton to Malone. They wanted it to be iconic. LeBron James, more than any other athlete, knows his history, is aware of the history of the game and what he means. Everything he says is so calculated. Everything he does is so calculated. He's not going to want to make it on a free throw. Like, how anticlimactic would that be? He's going to make it on a big dunk, something where he's going to be able to flex and he has to make the free throw. It has to be something big. It has to be something cool. And I think that he's aware of it. And again, as a huge LeBron James fan, he's going to deliver, and it's going to be really cool. And I'm looking forward to it.
See, y'all know, I'm the biggest Lakers fan, LeBron supporter. I mean, last game he did have 24, 26 points. He had like 67, I think, to get to 36. But like, do you think that? I mean, I want him to get it tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But like, do you think there's a small chance he doesn't get it? Like, or
I'd paying
or the Thunder-
$75K to see LeBron break the record just for him to hit 35.
I mean, I'm just saying, like,
It could happen. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, he might not. I mean, I think he's gonna get it tonight. But I just had a weird feeling that, like, if he doesn't get it, he's gonna get it against the Bucks.
How many does he need tonight? 36?
36. I mean, he can get it easily.
Yeah,
But last game he had
36.
26.
He'll probably take 40 shots to get there if he has to.
Yeah, I mean,
The
he got
Lakers,
lucky.
they're gonna
Their
go
next
for
couple
it.
games are at home.
Yeah.
Their next 2 games are at home, so at least he gets to break it in LA. So that, at
That's
least that's
true.
good for them.
I was saying, like, what if, like, I mean, Kareem's talking all that crap. What about LeBron if LeBron just, like, does it on against the Bucks, the team that he played on, back in the day? So that's like kind of like, wow.
No one
Kinda
thinks
like
about
running
Kareem playing for the Bucks because he was Lou Alcindor
That's
when he
true.
played for the Bucks. Like,
Yeah.
he became Kareem when he went to the Lakers. Like, I think the
true.
biggest deal is what's the highlight going to be so that when people Google or YouTube LeBron James, breaking the
know.
scoring record, it's going to be a big deal. And then you want to do it at home. And I think those are the only two things.
That's a
that
good question.
matter.
Like, what's the highlight on it? I mean, it might be an AD alley to LeBron, man, like a D Wade, old school D Wade to LeBron, Miami Heat alley oop kind of thing. It
What
could
if
be
it
a three. It could be a 3-pointer. He could have 43 and hit a
What if it was
3-pointer.
something wild? What if it was something wild, like hit him in the head and went in? That would just be like the biggest, like, man, like when you look up LeBron, all you see is him breaking the scoring record by getting
With
hit in
his
the head
head.
with the ball.
with his head. That'd be great.
I'm sure
That'd be
LeBron's
funny.
mind, he would like it to be maybe a buzzer beater, step back 3 to break the record.
That would be legit. That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
I mean, I don't
Man,
see it
imagine
happening, but I'm sure that's what
imagine
he
how
would.
Westbrook feels in that situation. Imagine LeBron breaking the record against your old franchise team. That'd be kind of funny.
I mean, he did. I mean, he did get the triple double against the Thunder, so he should be happy about that.
Okay.
I feel like Russell's humble enough to respect the king.
Oh no, it's just still at the same time, like you have to be like, dang, like
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like
And-
as a player, no matter what, like playing against my former team, I'd always just feel a little weird being like, played for you guys.
Mhm.
Like, I know the personnel, I know the staff.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like he's still loved in Oklahoma City as well.
yeah, he's so.
Like they loved Westbrook down there.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah.
Now it would have been different if they're in OKC and they're like, oh wow, LeBron doing this.
I guess
Not Waterhouse.
that makes a little more sense. If it was like he broke it in OKC, it'd be like,
That's where I
okay.
thought it was. And I was like, no way, 98,000 for like a Thunder ticket.
I know. I was like,
But
man,
actually,
I'm only
Freddie
like
was
an
right. I
hour
was
and a half
on,
away from there.
Yeah, I was looked on Game Time. I was Lakers tickets for the Thunder game, and it was like, well, I think the court side, like low level, that's like 98,000, but like there's tickets for like 121. I mean, that's still.
Yeah.
So I mean, I thought
Probably
every
people wanted
ticket,
to be at courtside.
I thought every ticket like that was even the not even a personal ticket is 98,000. That's crazy.
If they did that, it'd be half empty.
Yep. Yep.
I don't know, Freddie, hop that plane, man. I thought he was joking with us, man.
Hey, if Freddie wanted to put that down to go sit up in the nosebleeds, I'm not saying that he's up there, but if they were selling tickets like up in the nosebleeds for 98,000, you might have a riot outside. I don't care what LeBron's about to do.
Yeah, that was so that 100,000 that was like courtside.
That's
like,
for
they were, like,
the
celebrities
celebrities who want to be like, oh, I was here for the game. They can pay that.
yeah,
'Cause
like
I'm sure you'll
Kareem.
see a lot
LeBron's
of
probably
them.
not even talked to like half of you guys, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't even know who Thomas Bryant is. Get out of here.
Yeah, you'll probably see, Drake, he likes showing up for random stuff. Maybe Jay-Z, Beyonce, who
Beyonce.
knows? Yeah.
It'd
And
be,
her
it'd be
tickets-
crazy.
and-
It'd be crazy if everyone showed up and like Austin Reeves dropped like 60.
I thought he was hurt.
I don't think LeBron James' ego would let that happen.
He
Again,
might
as someone
because
who
I was
loves
just saying a
LeBron
random
James,
player.
it would be fun if he wasn't the highlight player on that night. That some rando just went off. That'd be
Max
great.
Christie
but-
drops 47.
Russell had the 50-point triple double. But hey, but like
It's like LeBron's like 2 points away and like Westbrook blocks it out.
like
Westbrook doesn't pass him the ball. It's like, nah, I'm gonna take the shot.
the only reason why I think LeBron's gonna pass it tonight is because like no one really on the Thunder can really guard LeBron. Maybe SGA, but he's I don't know. He can't even.
Darius Baisley.
Nah.
With you.
That's why I think he's gonna do it tonight. Because I mean, if he was
Lou
playing
Dort?
like
Yeah, I was about to say Lou Dort. Because
No.
Lou Dort is at least, he's built.
yeah, but
he's
LeBron will
not-
build
he's
by
not
him.
Do you think?
I mean,
Do you think like, for example, for the
I mean,
Thunder?
let's be real, man.
Like, you think the thing?
Yeah,
like, do you
he's-
think any
like he's a
teams
good
would
defender,
try?
but like, come on, post up, come on.
You think any teams, like for example, in the Thunder's case, are going to want to be like, I don't want to be the team that LeBron scores these points on. Like, break the record
100%.
on my team, my season. Like, I do think LeBron will break the record, probably, possibly, but also at the same time, it's like, man, I feel like the Thunder are going to be playing a little harder out there. It's like, break that on Giannis, break that play in the
They're-
Bucks. Don't break it against the crappy Thunder.
There's a sense of pride, and the Thunder are playing pretty well right now. It's not like they're the Thunder that we're kind of been expecting, where they're bottom tier. They're playing really well. They have a lot of fire, and I think they're going to have a huge sense of pride of like, no, we're not going to do it. If you go back to like the home run chase in '98, every pitcher that was facing Mark McGwire is like, no, you are not going to home run off of me. I refuse to let it happen. It's the same thing here where teams are going to, no, I don't want to be, when people YouTube and history pulls up, they don't want to see it. I'll say this as a Utah Jazz fan. I hate seeing Michael Jordan's last shot as a Chicago Bull because it's against the Jazz in Salt Lake City. I hate it where he pushes off of Russell. They shouldn't have called the foul. I agree with the no call, but he pushed off, and I hate seeing it. I always hate seeing it. Like, it's just
Was that the flu game?
no. That the flu game was in '97. This was in
97.
'98.
I'm gonna say y'all got Jordan sick that game.
Food poisoning.
Well,
If
I know
he's
it's-
dumb enough to order Little Caesars pizza at like 10 o'clock at night, come on.
that was against the Jazz, right? That
Yeah.
year?
No,
Okay.
it was
yeah.
against the Jazz.
Right. It was on purpose.
Well, what was
Someone
I
had a
gonna
bet on
say?
the Jazz.
Utah Jazz fans are they can be pretty malicious, so I'm not going to confirm nor deny it. I'll just say that that's the only sports team there, and they're not exactly the friendliest to opposing players. And I'll just
Yeah, no,
I'll-
they
I'll
got
leave it there.
the youth there and for the Pac-12 football, and they've been doing good, and they go wild.
Oh, they're yeah. Utah sports fans in general are just jerks as a whole, no matter what sport it is. I'll just leave it there.
But I'm gonna go with the Arian Foster route. I'm playing like the scripts are written for LeBron to pass it tonight. The script is written for LeBron to do it tonight. I mean, 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, we were saying like projected February 7th. Tickets were 75,000. I mean, it's a Thunder game, 36 points away.
Mhm.
It's written in stone in the script, man. Like, Sign off.
All right, we'll see. Because, like I said, I'd hate to see people dropping 92,000 for LeBron to score like 29, 30.
Bro, you better get your refund back.
34 points.
So that means he has to get like 36, 30, or 35, or 37 points right there. Or 36 would be
36.
36
Is it 36 to break or 36 to tie?
I kind of thought it was 36.
It's 36 to
break it.
pass, 35 would
To
tie.
Tie. Okay.
So he's going to end up with 34 points.
So 35 would tie, 36 would break.
Yep.
Imagine if he tied it.
I mean,
Now they're looking for OT.
A friend of mine said that anytime any sporting event ends in a tie, it's like kissing your sister. It just feels wrong.
Huh?
It's like it's just to say, like, come on, like you're not going to end on a tie. Like LeBron James is going to make sure he's not going to end at 35. He's either going to end at like 32 or 36.
You're gonna see him give the ref a couple $100 bills and be like, "He found me."
Hey, can Tim Donaghy ref this one game for me, please?
Yeah, but I do see Jake's point though, where it says like, and Dylan's point where they're like, "Oh, Thunder might play hard." Like, I'm a Yankee fan, right? And Aaron Judge broke the home run record for a season, and pitchers were they weren't pitching Aaron because they know he was on the brink of like breaking that record, and like pitchers weren't gonna like
pitcher.
But like pitchers weren't like pitching fastballs down the middle. They were like pitching outside, making them reach. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's what teams do. So, I mean, I
expect LeBron to shoot a lot. I don't expect him to get a lot of layups or dunks. Like he's gonna have to earn his points probably today shooting.
I think we're going to know really early if he's going to be doing more jump shots or he's going to be attacking the basket. With LeBron, you can usually get a pretty good sense early in a game for how he's feeling. And if he makes a couple of threes early, he's probably going to be doing jump shots until he gets to that 36 point where he wants to do something more iconic, something that's going to get the crowd really, really invigorated if you get a huge dunk.
I know he's going to do that finisher post-up fadeaway he does. That has to be.
Man, I also feel like you would try to do something like Kobe related too, like try to do like his signature fadeaway to break it. LeBron's very like commemorative like that.
Like he has that own like baseline, fadeaway and post up.
I feel like that'd be something he'd do.
That move,
huh?
Jordan had that move. Then Kobe had it, and then
no, but I'm saying
everything Kobe has, Jordan had first. I love Kobe Bryant, rest in peace and everything, but there's a reason why Kobe looked up to Jordan so much. Is because they were so similar.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see in a few hours whether or not LeBron gets it done tonight.
Did y'all talk about like KD and like his?
Yeah, we already talked about.
KD.
You're late.
Yeah.
I was gonna have my little input. I mean, they said that they had no plans of trading him as of right now, but you imagine how who's their point guard now? What is it? It's Cam Thomas, right?
Dinwiddie.
Oh, Dinwiddie. Okay.
Dinwiddie, Cam Thomas. Whoever they
so
were.
like, do y'all see them just like keeping Durant and building around him, or?
Yeah, basically what we said is that we basically kind of agreed that they were going to keep Durant for the season, try to make some moves at the deadline, give it an off season. And if Durant doesn't like the moves they make in the off season, they'll move on for him. But if Durant likes the moves they make, he'll stay and probably till the end of his contract, maybe work out a 1-2 year extension.
Is he still under contract after this year? Is he still on his deal?
He's under contract till
Possibly.
26? Durant has a few years left on his deal, which is kind of a tricky part with with trying to move him.
So they still had the leverage in Brooklyn after the season to like move him or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Durant signed a big deal. He won't be a free agent for a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, if Durant had his way, he'd probably be like, get Simmons up out of here. But because of Simmons, rookie scale and all that, there's like certain players you can't trade for and all that. So it's just way too complicated with him. But I think that's what Durant would love to see is
Durant has to make Kyle's nightmares even worse, sending him to Boston, Ben Simmons.
What do you think of them Boston rumors? Those are a little interesting. Real quick.
Tried this last year and nothing came from it. They try to throw it out.
Do you think that would be a big three though? I mean, if Tatum, Brown, Ben Simmons.
Well, no. It seems like if that was to happen, Brown would be moved.
Yeah.
Brown would be moved as part of the deal.
Oh, so it'll be.
So it'd be KD
Tatum and Durant.
Oh shoot. Wait, well, I don't know. Ben Simmons can't even.
Jalen
he-
Brown and Ben
Is
Simmons.
he even healthy?
Spencer Dinwiddie.
Is he even healthy? Is he playing
No,
right
he
now?
has he has a knee injury
Oh.
again, supposedly.
I don't. Never mind.
I think Ben Simmons is one of those athletes. I saw it in Boston with cross sports here. JD Drew was a player where if he wasn't 100%, he was on the injured list. And I'm starting to feel like Simmons is kind of the same way. Simmons probably woke up, stepped out of bed, maybe felt a little pinch, and was like, "Oh, I'm injured." And it's like, I mean, I honestly don't know what Ben Simmons anymore. Like, what do you do with him? Because every team he's gone to, they kind of soured on him pretty quickly. If you kind of send him out to Oblivion, I guess Orlando or something like that, it'd be like, I don't want to trade a bunch of young guys to get this guy who's going to play for 2 weeks and then sit out 6 weeks or something. So I don't know. I don't know what to do with him.
I followed his page on Instagram and said the NBA will not stop the game to honor LeBron's record-breaking basket if the game is under 1 minute. No, it says per TNT. It says under 1 minute and within 6 points or it goes to overtime.
I don't buy that. The minute he does it, they'll stop the game, please.
Bruh. You'll have the people paying $98,000 fighting the refs to celebrate it.
Okay, so fine. If they want to do that, what will happen is, what was it, the night when DeRozan did something?
Bruh, I'm surprised we don't have an
in
after
San
party
Antonio.
live on TNT.
Right. the night when DeRozan did something on San Antonio, I think Popovich purposely called a timeout like right after it to acknowledge it. It'll be something like that if they won't officially stop the game. But
OKC's coach again.
Somebody in the comments said someone's going to call a timeout regardless if it's going to be implemented.
Yeah, so it's going to be stopped. Who is Oklahoma's coach?
Billy Donovan.
No, he's the Bulls coach.
Yeah.
I thought that was before you said.
It's Mark Daigneault, I think.
I was seeing if it was just someone who had like any sort of relation towards. Yeah, I was seeing if there's anyone who had like maybe some sort of relation to LeBron. Sometimes, usually, those coaches, the historic coaches like not Steve Kerr, Greg Popovich would be a good example. Like some of those coaches that have coached for a while, coached some legends and stuff like that. They're more like susceptible to like
can appreciate the history too.
Yeah. They'll appreciate that. So. Who knows though? It's OKC, so it could be a wild card.
Also, they said Zion, Curry, and Durant are all out for All-Star game. They accounted for 15% of all total fan votes. That's crazy.
I mean, the fans voted for Zion. There was a good chance he was going to miss it. Curry's hurt.
Curry got hurt again with the knee, I think.
But if I'm Curry, I'm not rushing back just to play in an All-Star game.
He was healthy. He came back with the shoulder, I think. So he came back and then I guess he got hurt on a contact.
I don't want to keep talking about NBA, but what do we think should happen with Kyrie in this All-Star game now? Because what I said is since Curry is out, you give Curry's starter spot, you promote Jaylen Brown to a starter, and then whatever you do with Zion, you do with Zion. I don't know who you give that starting spot there. And then Kevin Durant, I don't know who you give the starting. Joel Embiid, you give Joel Embiid that spot.
So whoever is Zion's spot would be like the starter, I guess, in replacement.
Yeah,
it'd probably be Markkanen or Sabonis. You'd kind of elevate there.
Wow, that's crazy. I hope Markkanen for Jake's sake, make Markkanen a starter.
That'd be so. And the cool thing is, to remember, the All-Star game's in Salt Lake City, so it would be cool for him.
They have to. You have to at that.
I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Or I mean, would the NBA league just pick it, or would they have the fans pick the spot?
Usually, I'm pretty sure Kerr, whoever. Yeah, no, that's not happening. It'll be a reserve. Someone else will get picked to be a reserve, probably, if possible.
Curry's out too. I forgot. There's 2 spots that he replaced.
Well, yeah, I'm saying Kyrie should get that spot since he's a West now.
Weston.
And then you can give Jaylen Brown that other starter spot in the East.
The way it should have been. Anyway, let's go on to the NFL. Brown should have been the starter. Like I said, this is Super Bowl week, so let's get into. I'm gonna spend like an hour on the NBA. So Definitely have more to talk about next week after the trade deadline for sure. Hopefully it's an active trade deadline.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
So with the NFL, before we get into the Super Bowl, actually talk about some of the coaching hires. You know, we learned about D'Amico Ryans. He got the Houston job. You know, a lot of people didn't think he'd go there because of Houston and what they've done with previous African American coaches, but he gets that job. Sean Payton gets the Denver job, even though a lot of us thought he was going to get the Chargers job. That didn't happen. And then, kind of on the coordinator side, Steve Wilkes is taking over for D'Amico Ryans in San Francisco after he didn't get the Carolina job. So
Brian Flores in
yeah,
Minnesota as well too.
Yeah, I think that's a good hire for him. I mean, I thought he was going to get the Cardinals head coaching job, but
yeah,
he was a
I feel like that probably was his job if he wanted it. Maybe he just liked maybe what Minnesota had offered. I don't know. That's weird.
Flores to me seems like a guy that he's true to himself and he's not going to put up with any BS. Like he didn't build his team for Tua to be successful. He didn't like Tua. So I don't think he's going to be a guy that wants a short quarterback that has as many issues and red flags as Kyler Murray has. He can go to Minnesota. They have a lot of talent. They have a bad defense though. And he can really pad up his resume and be like, you know what I did in Miami? You know what I did in Pittsburgh? Now look what I did in Minnesota. And he can wait for a better job. I think it's a smart move. I wouldn't want to go to Arizona. I'd rather be defensive coordinator for a year or two than go to Arizona.
And that actually leads into my first question. We have 2 jobs left, Arizona and Indy. So put yourselves in the shoes of a coordinator out there in the NFL. You get a call from Irsay, or I guess it's Bidwell in Arizona. Which job would be more appealing to you? And we can start with Jordan.
You said Colts or who?
Cardinals.
For the head coaching job?
Yep.
I thought they did have a second interview for Saturday. I don't think he's gonna be a coach.
No, Saturday's gone. He's out.
Saturday's gone. Who's the QB for the Colts? Oh, they don't got one.
That's
no one.
That's
To be determined in the draft.
So, okay, I guess I'll start. So it's really whatever you want to do with that pick. You know, it's with the Colts, you kind of get your own sense of direction. You know, you have the ability to trade up and get a franchise guy. You have the ability to do a lot of different things. You can make a trade for an Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I'm not sure I'd recommend that. I say draft a QB. The veterans haven't worked. Do something new, obviously. But with that being said, you could go in Aaron Rodgers. You could go with Derek Carr. You could go with these other things. Or you could take a chance on a quarterback now. I know it's the 4th overall pick. They could potentially get the 1st. They could get whatever in the top 4. So they could get a top-tier quarterback. But again, you're taking a risk on someone like that. And then on the other side of that, you have the Cardinals, where they have a quarterback in Kyler Murray, who's an exceptional talent. I think all of us can agree he's probably a top 5 talent when it comes to at least just straight skill in the NFL. But he has some issues. You know, this Cardinal team has some issues. So, but they have the talent, which is the crazy thing. They have the talent quarterback. They have the key piece you need on an NFL franchise is a star quarterback. With a star quarterback, you can create a very interesting and intriguing offense with. So you have that piece. He just needs some guidance. So it's really just where you want to go. Both teams are kind of when it comes to cap. Both teams have some decent size holes. The Colts are probably a lot better when it comes to the offensive end, at least on the offensive line. Running back is obviously better if you have a healthy Jonathan Taylor back. Receivers are kind of interesting with both teams. You know, D-Hop will probably be out. You know, then the Cardinals got like Marquise Brown, Rondo Moore. On the Colts side, you have Michael Pittman, and then who do you really have after that? So it's a really interesting side for both both teams. If you're a coach, it's like both teams have their defensive struggles. Maybe the Colts are slightly better, but they have their problems in the secondary. The Cardinals have their problems in the secondary. You know, it's really interesting. It's just a matter of what you want to do at quarterback, I think. Do you want to take a chance on Kyler Murray, or do you want to have your own control and build up a young roster with a Bryce Young, a CJ Stroud, a Will Levis, like one of those guys, maybe an Anthony Richardson if you think he's the dude there. You know, it's really depending on the direction you want to go. Personally, I'm a big Kyler Murray guy, so I'd want to maybe take that Cardinals job, but I could see wanting to have your own quarterback and, you know, being able to morph him into an offense that's kind of built around him, especially with the small rookie contract, because you'll have 4 or 5 years of control before you have to give him any big bucks. So that could be very enticing over a Kyler Murray who's now going to be starting to make his massive money.
I mean, you can go ahead, Jake. You can go ahead.
I'm taking the Colts job, and
Yeah.
both jobs aren't ideal. Like they're not great jobs. The concern I have with the Cardinals is a couple. I do have concerns with Kyler Murray. If a team has to put in a clause for video game usage, even if they removed it, I have some concern there. I have some concern about his durability. Like Dylan, you're absolutely right. As far as like exciting players to watch, he's definitely up there. When he's able to freelance, he could do amazing things. I worry about his late season performance. The Cardinals always seem to fall off the cliff the last half of the year. Now, I do want to give a lot of that to Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff, I think, was a bad head coach. I didn't like the hire when it was first made. Made no sense to me. So I do think he maybe got kind of a bad rap in that situation where Kyler's probably not as bad as some of the big haters say he actually is. But the roster is not great. You're going to lose D-Hop. The Cardinals have never been a historically great franchise, a franchise that's willing to spend a lot of money. They don't have the best ownership. And that matters. That the Colts, the Ursays, they have good ownership. They're willing to spend. This is what they're known for. You're in a very weak division in the AFC South if you go to Indy, because your biggest threat is Jacksonville, who's been unbelievably unreliable as a franchise in their existence, and Tennessee's on the downhill. Houston, they're starting to rebuild. Neither job is great. I'm going to take a team that has some good pieces, a good O-line, and for me, the big thing I can bank on is I'm drafting a quarterback that I want for my future. If I'm a coordinator and I want to go with Kyler Murray, then sure, that sounds great. But for me, I just think Indy's a safer bet.
So I'm gonna go with different. So y'all both picked the Colts, right?
I picked. I have a little bit of like favoritism, so I said both jobs are pretty interesting. But like I have a belief that if you put the right coach and get the right mindset for Kyler Murray, that like he can do some great things there. So I'd probably be a little favoritism towards the Cardinals. Oh, I think you're muted, Jake.
Oh, thanks. I'll just say that with Kyler getting a new head coach, with Cliff gone, he's going to be way better next year, 100%.
Yeah. I was going to go that route,
especially if he can get the right mindset.
Yeah, I was going to go the Arizona route, just because, like, I mean, yes, Greg Jackson being a coach in Jackson, that your next generation or your next QB for years to come. I mean, normally teams have an established veteran quarterback to like have them under their wing, like, you know, for instance, like they'll have a Jimmy G, he would help them, you know, a rookie out, you know. But now you're kind of trying to mold this QB like kind of like by yourself, whereas you kind of, like Jake and Dylan said, that Kyler is in all kind of like, you can give kind of like not all the blame to Cliff, but some kind of goes both ways. But Cliff was the reason why Kyler really wasn't as good as he can be, and Kyler is even, I don't think he's even past his prime yet. So like Dylan said, with a great coach and a right, you know, mindset and a right offensive. I'm not sure who their OC is, or offensive coordinator is, but I don't think they
probably
even have
nobody. No, they probably don't. I imagine they cleared house.
Yeah, if they bring someone in, and Kyler's not really a bad quarterback. It's just like he needs the right, you know, team around him. But like Jake said, that kind of that video game clause in his contract kind of seemed like, okay, this dude's like not focused or whatever. And I get players play on their downtime, but I mean, when you have something in your contract where you have to study film, like if you're a seasoned quarterback, you shouldn't have to study film, like unless you're like a rookie or whatever, or like you're like on the bench learning the playbook. But I don't know. I feel like I should take the Arizona Cardinal job because obviously I have Kyler Murray. I can get some receivers if they're willing to spend maybe one, because AD Green retired. He's not really, you know, he's in his past his prime. So yeah, like you said, D-Hop is a free agent.
He's not a free agent, but
But
they're
he's
going to
supposedly
play
wants
trading
out.
him.
He wants out, so it's like how you gonna keep him, and then yeah. So, but then again, it feels good to restart and have like a QB that you can. I mean, they could. I think they have the number 2 pick, right? In the draft, or number 3.
Who? The Cardinals? They have 3.
No, the Colts.
Oh, the Colts. They have 4.
So, but what's their first pick though? What's
They have
that their?
4.
I never. What's the first? Oh, pick 4.
Yeah.
Oh, I think they had 4 picks. I'm like,
No, they picked 4.
oh, pick
Yeah.
4. So I mean, they can maybe get a Bryce Young or
CJ Stroud.
CJ
Will Levis.
Stroud. So yeah, I mean but it's just that like I want to, if I'm a coordinator or a coach, I want to make sure that I have like a veteran kind of like, even though Kyle's not really, he's been there, but more like a QB who can like train someone and like mentor
Yeah,
them.
an established.
And Colts don't have that. They don't have any quarterback right there, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
But don't they have Nick Foles or he's a free agent?
Who cares?
It's
I'm
not-
I'm just saying, like you said, they didn't have the
Whenever
quarterback.
you name a quarterback from the Nick Foles veteran leadership, like I'm sorry, no one's falling off.
No,
that
I'm just
bridge.
saying, like, they don't have no quarterback in that quarterback room.
I guess they have. I don't think Matt Ryan's technically a free agent. He'll probably be
Yeah.
the backup there. Sam Ellinger. Ooh.
So it's
I
not
guess
not a great route.
In a sense, like I guess I don't want to hate on Matt Ryan too much. He's not the quarterback for the Colts, but I guess if you had Matt Ryan in your room, that's not a horrible quarterback to learn under by any means.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, I agree with Dylan. Like, it's just about what that coordinator wants to do, and like, does he want to rebuild with a new quarterback and start fresh? Because they're not probably going to win, like, or get to the playoffs is like right out the first year, unless he's just spectacular. It's going to take time to build a quarterback up. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, both jobs are kind of ugly because. I mean, Kyler Murray has his issues, but then again, it wasn't really all his fault. And plus, he's short, and like we all knew that was the issue coming into the draft. But I mean, look at Kenny Pickett. I think he's short, and he's doing his thing in Pittsburgh. So it's like, and he has small hands, so he can. Sorry.
No, it's true. I mean,
Oh man, I didn't want to make a joke, but he has small hands, man. Like,
the only position where they actually talk about hand size is quarterback.
Yeah,
so
like it matters.
It is. Yeah, I mean, it's so dumb when you hear that. But
yeah.
for me, I would take the Cardinals job only because I couldn't work for Irsay. That guy has
Fair.
rubbed me the wrong way for years, and he's just a weird guy. And if I'm a potential coach, the fact that he went through that clown show with Jeff Saturday last year, I'd be like, nah, I'm good.
And
with
he's
that.
still a candidate.
Yeah, he went 1-7, and he got a second interview in this process. Like, he's this good coach, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't deal with him. And not to say Bidwell out in Arizona is any better, but I'd rather deal with him than Irsay, because Irsay wants to be Jerry Jones. He wants to be, meddling and everything, and I couldn't handle that. So I would take the Arizona job, even with Kyler Murray's shortcomings, whether it's maturity or professionalism or whatever you want to pin it as. I feel like that stuff you could fix with the right mentality going in, and maybe he looked at Kingsbury as his boy, and I could do whatever. Kingsbury's got my back. But now with Kingsbury gone, maybe he changes, and it's not gonna help with Hopkins wanting out. I do wonder if they hired the right guy. Would Hopkins maybe backtrack on that and actually want to stay? I don't know, but I would take the Arizona job easily.
Do we have any quick predictions we have for each person, or a coach we would like to see in each spot? Because for me, I'll start with the Cardinals. I'm pretty sure they didn't interview this dude. I know the Colts did, but Eric Bieniemy, someone who's worked with a Patrick Mahomes, someone who's a diverse quarterback, someone who can go in there and make an offense built around a quarterback who can move, who can kind of throw the ball a little bit. Someone who's worked with a quarterback with a big personality, like I'd say Patrick Mahomes has, or has made for himself. I feel like, you could create something interesting there. I feel like I'd be a good hire. And then on the Colts end, anyone not named Jeff Saturday. I like the OC. I'm trying to think the OC of the Shane Steichen, OC of the Eagles. I think Shane Steichen would be a great hire there, especially with a young quarterback. Getting a good offensive guru like that, someone who we obviously saw the strides he made with Philadelphia, made him to a great team now. Giving him a rookie quarterback to kind of mold and make his own offense around can be fairly enticing for the Colts as well. I know we probably won't see any of those interviews happen or anything happen with them until after, the Super Bowl, respectfully. And I know teams like to wait. I know coaches like to wait until afterwards, respectfully as well, too. We'll see. I hope they wait. I don't get why a lot of teams don't wait until the Super Bowl teams are done, because it's like, why don't you want the coordinators and stuff from the teams that just went to the Super Bowl? I don't know. I'd wait.
Well, I think part of it is with like Senior Bowl and Shrine Bowl and all that. Some teams want to like have coaching staffs in place if they need one. That way, if they send them down there, at least they have somebody representing them. Because if you don't have that coach in place, what are you sending down to Mobile, Alabama, or what was the other game in Vegas or whatever? So I think that's why a lot of teams jump at it. But I agree. Usually you want to pluck from Super Bowl staffs, and then you have Andy Reid, who wouldn't want to have a coach from his tree. Now Sirianni's new to all of this, so we don't really know what kind of tree he could possibly have under him. But Shane Steichen seems like a guy who's quickly becoming a rock star amongst coordinators. So maybe that's what these two jobs, maybe that's what they're looking for. Whoever wins this one, whichever is the top coordinator, they're probably going to jump at first, and maybe the other team gets the
enemy doesn't get a job. That's just wild.
Well,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Interviewed in Indy, he probably should get it after the Super Bowl.
You would think that he would, in there? But the Colts do dumb things like hire an analyst for a coach, and Bieniemy is the clear. Yeah, that's even worse. They just hired him, and Bieniemy is the clear, like, he should be a head coach somewhere. I know there's rumors that he doesn't interview well, but like, you see what he does on the field. I'm not going to put it past the Colts to just make a dumb decision, because Jim Irsay, like, that's a great point that you made, Kyle, where it's like he's like a Jerry Jones wannabe, Jerry Jones Jr., and he wants to make it about himself. I'm sure he loved the ego and attention it got when he hired Jeff Saturday, even though it failed spectacularly for him.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I mean, we'll kind of get onto the field now, with it being the Super Bowl. And I guess the first question I have about it, we have the Chiefs versus the Eagles. They were both number 1 seeds. So, a lot of times we don't get that matchup. I think it's interesting. It's going to make history with Hurts versus Mahomes, 2 African-American quarterbacks, which was like only a few years ago we had the Super Bowl with the African-American coaches. So history being made again. But looking at these two teams, I guess, who's the one player outside of Mahomes and Hurts, obviously, that you see having the biggest impact on the outcome of this game?
I mean, that's the most.
Anyone of you wants
that's
start?
the most. I mean, I think it's tough.
I'm gonna say it has to be. I'm gonna just say the position. So running back. These are teams that are pretty pass happy teams. The Eagles can pass the ball and air it out to their receivers, tight ends, even their running backs. Same goes for the Chiefs. The biggest thing is both these teams have very, I wouldn't say questionable, at least on the Eagles side, but they have very hit and miss running games, I would say. Sometimes the Eagles have to rely on Jalen Hurts being that main rusher because they can't get Sanders going. They can't get Gainwell going. And then on the flip of that, sometimes Hurts has no appearance in the rushing game at all, and Sanders has to take over, or Gainwell has to take over. And then on the Chiefs side, it's kind of been a just really kind of a carousel of running backs until just recently. And Isaiah Pacheco's been the one to kind of step up and take over and kind of been that back there. I think it has to be the running backs. Of course, these teams are going to pass. They're going to pass all day. That's kind of their MO, is just pass the ball for both sides, especially. But the running backs are going to be playing a big part to this game. Whoever has the best rushing offense is probably going to be the one controlling the ball the most. And you're going to want to do that against, I would say for both teams, you want to keep each other's offense off the field the longest. And how are you going to do that? By having long, successful drives. And who's going to run the ball better, I think, is really going to be the separator in that.
Yeah, I'm going to go with just a few points. Well, one, the point I'm going to make, my first point is the defense, who can create the most turnovers. Another point on the field will be the receivers. I know the Chiefs receivers are banged up. So can those receivers on that side step up? I know Anthony said on my show, MVS is it's a cool name, but I mean, can he step up to the plate when in a big game like that? And then also the tight ends. I think I got Dallas Goddard and Kelsey. And it comes down to the Chiefs O line too, because still, I mean, Mahomes. I'm not sure. I haven't read any reports saying how healthy he is with the high ankle sprain, if he's recovered.
He's good.
Or,
It's Super Bowl weekend, bro.
Yeah.
and just
We're
Pump some
past the
adrenaline in that
ankle
ankle.
sprain.
He's chilling.
I still feel like the O-line still has a big game for him to protect him from re-aggravating the ankle, because you can still re-aggravate the ankle.
Sure.
I can bait. So I kind of 3 points of key three emphasis. The defense, if they can turnover battle, receivers. I mean, basically all the receivers on Eagles are healthy. Got Devontae Smith. They got AJ Brown. So they're all healthy. And then the tight ends. I mean, I think Kelsey. I mean, I think he's gonna have the bigger game, but I don't really know much about Goddard coming out with the Eagles. I don't really follow Goddard like that, but I know he's a big tight end for them. So yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a good game.
I'll keep it simple. For me, it's not necessarily one player. I'll just say position. It's whichever offensive line produces better, protects their quarterbacks better, is going to win the game.
Yeah,
It's to me that's real simple in that aspect. The Eagles and the Chiefs are the number 1 and number 2 sack teams. The Eagles had the most sacks. Chiefs were second. That's going to be a big part of the game, and which team is going to be able to protect the quarterback. Both quarterbacks are a little nicked. We have the high ankle sprain for Mahomes, the shoulder injury for Jalen Hurts. Hurts didn't look great in the NFC Championship game. He didn't throw the ball, and like the Eagles, they didn't need him to throw the ball. So I'm not like trying to trash on his play or trash the Eagles, but he didn't look like the Jalen Hurts we saw earlier in the year. It's which team's going to keep their quarterback upright, which offensive line is going to protect their quarterback so they can make their progressions and run their offense, and that's going to be the winner. Everything else, the running game, tight ends, all it's great, but for me, it's the offensive line is whichever one protects is going to be the winner and hosting that Lombardi Trophy.
Yeah, well, kind of to piggyback off of all that, I'm looking at Chris Jones for the Chiefs and Hassan Reddick, who had a really good NFC Championship game. So he for the Eagles, I feel like those two spotlight's going to be on them, because it's going to be Reddick who's going to have to get Mahomes off of his spot, because if the high ankle sprain is even bothering him a little bit, if it's to a situation where he can't just drop back 3-step, 5-step, plant the foot and push off, he has to like hold the ball and dance around a little bit. I think that could work in the Phillies' favor. And then the same thing with Chris Jones, if he can get a couple of hits on Hurts, maybe the shoulder feels a little bit iffy after that, and maybe that's where the game could turn on its head. So I'm looking at those two guys on the D line as the keys to this game. All right, so moving to the next one. So I guess with all that out of the way, we'll go with the prediction. Who do you have winning? And then I guess out of the keys we brought up, what key do you think leads to that team winning? And if you want to throw out a score or a spread, go ahead as well. We'll start with Jake on this one.
Sure. So I think Philly's going to win it. I think when I've watched the Eagles this playoff run, they've seemed more dominant. Now I know that they played the Giants, and the Giants really, as great as they were coached, they were just outmanned. And then the 49ers, they just ran out of court. They literally ran out of people to play. So it's kind of hard to be like, well, Philly look dominant. Well, any team's going to look dominant if you're not going to be able to throw the ball. But the way that Philly's defensive line was able to overwhelm the San Francisco offensive line, which is a fantastic offensive line, just gives me a lot of flashbacks to the Tampa Bay Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl from a couple of years ago, where Tampa Bay's defense was so great, so elite, and Patrick Mahomes had a terrible stat line, but you were so impressed with how he was able to make so much magic happen, but they got blown out. Like that game was ugly for the Chiefs. It's not going to be that bad. Because the Chiefs offensive line is significantly better, but I think it's going to be something along those lines where the Eagles defensive line is going to blow some plays up. They're going to have some hits on Mahomes. They're going to cause some cause more chaos than the Chiefs are. And I think it's going to be, I don't know about a final score, but I think the Eagles are going to win by like 7 points. It's not going to be a blowout, but it's not going to be a 4-point game. I think it'll be something, if I were to pull out, it'd be like 31-24, something like that.
Okay. Dylan?
Yeah, I'm going with the Eagles on this one. Obviously, the script was showed to us. The Eagles were winning anyways. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I'm picking the Eagles on this one. The Eagles have been a very interesting team for me this whole season. Big Jalen Hurts supporter, big OU guy. So I've been supporting Jalen Hurts this whole time. I was excited when the Eagles spent a 2nd-round pick on him. I was like, just wait and see. Like, he's going to be that dude for you guy. And seeing him in the Super Bowl, it's kind of like, told you. And it's good. I think this Eagles team has, and this speaks for Jalen Hurts as well, has just progressed. Like, we've had our question marks about him. We had our question marks. Was he the starting quarterback? And all he has done is just kind of just made us be quiet. We're not questioning him anymore being that starting quarterback, being that franchise guy. It's kind of like, this is his team, and he's proved it all to us. This Eagles team has progressed miles above any team we've seen probably as of late, who had them as your Super Bowl team at the start of the season. Not a lot of people did. Everyone thought they were going to be a good team and maybe win this conference, maybe be a wild card team, but Super Bowl was kind of really out there, except for like maybe the diehard Eagles fans were the ones predicting them to go. So to start, I mean, this offense is really good. It's crazy to think the Chiefs X factor usually they've had this offense that no one can compete with, and it's now they still have an offense, but teams can compete and post up the same production that this Chiefs team can be. And then it's like, okay, let's go to the defensive side. Who has a better secondary? I'd probably argue it's Philadelphia. Who has a better D line? It's very questionable. Hassan Reddick's a good edge. Devon Hargrave's a good D tackle. So is Chris Jones. We could toss that up, and it's like we get to the linebackers. It's probably the Eagles. And it's like when we break it all down, it's like this Eagles team is a way better team. They're performing great. You would say they had an easier path to the playoffs. That's not their fault. They don't get to make their schedules. They don't get to pick who gets into the playoffs. They don't get to pick who their other teams beat. So with that being said, this Eagles team just on paper has been just way more well-rounded, has been way better. It's just really hard to pick against them. Yeah, I have to go the Eagles on this one. If I had to give it a score prediction, I'd probably say, I think this is going to be a rougher game for the Chiefs. I feel like people are discrediting the Eagles a little bit. I think the Chiefs lose by 10. If I had to give a final score prediction, I'd probably say 34-24, 38-28. It's going to definitely be a scoring type of game. Both these teams are way better offensive teams than defensive teams. But, of course, the defense is going to be a key factor as well.
Okay. Jordan?
I think I'm gonna go a different route. I think I'm gonna go to Chiefs because I think that Kelsey is gonna have one of the most biggest games of his life. Just the fact that the receivers are kind of like weak because of injury, and Kelsey, I think he's all healthy. I think he had back spasms. I think during the conference or the conference game, I think he had some back spasms, but I think he had like a couple weeks to recover. So, But like I said, it's going to come down to the who wins the turnover battle. And I mean, I heard that McKinnon is going to be back for the running back. So Pacheco and McKinnon are going to split those carries, but
they better not split those carries.
But Pacheco might.
If Pacheco don't get most of those carries, they're doing something wrong.
Well, Andy Reid and his running backs, you never know what you're going to get as far as the gameplay goes. All the way back to Philly, even.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my final score prediction is going to be, it's going to be 30 Chiefs, 24 Eagles.
It's a good score.
Okay.
It's up to
going
Kyle.
Eagles. I'm with the Eagles in this one. I think the fact that the Chiefs are so depleted at the wide receiver position, even though Valdez-Scantling had a pretty good game, I heard Juju Smith talking about the best cheesesteaks aren't in Philly; they're outside of Philly. So I guess he plans on having a big game if you're going to talk about Philly cheesesteaks like that. But
oh my God,
I would put my trust in the secondary of the Eagles being able to shut them down. And with Kelsey's going to get his catches. I mean, you can game plan to stop him, but he'll find ways to get open.
Yeah.
What you have to do is make sure he doesn't get yards after the catch because
Yeah.
that's where he'll
That's
kill
the
you.
biggest thing with him. Like
So
if
the
he can
fun-
get a catch for 5 yards and you tackle him, that's one thing. But if
You've done
if he
your
gets a
job.
catch for 5 yards and breaks it for 25, then you're
Yeah,
struggling.
then you're in trouble. So I think the Eagles will be able to kind of corral Kelsey. Now it's just going to be, can they get pressure on Patrick Mahomes and maybe force a turnover and maybe force Andy Reid to maybe rely on that running game more than he may want to.
Right.
But I think the Eagles win this one, and I would probably go with, I'm going to 26-20. The Eagles win it. Because I do see the Eagles having some success running the ball, whether it's Hurts on RPO or just strictly flip-flopping Sanders and Gainwell, because they had really good games against the Niners. So I think they're going to try to keep going with that philosophy. One, to keep Mahomes on the sideline as long as you can. And two, just to, I guess, give that physical element that Philly's been playing with these playoffs. And I think they're going to want to go into Kansas City, up against Kansas City and try to beat them up a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think
They're
gonna
already
wanna run the
beaten
ball.
up. Why not do it more? It's like you
Right.
guys are struggling. You guys aren't 100%. Like we're more healthier than you guys are right now. And that's that was kind of a big thing for the Eagles. We were kind of like, man, this team isn't really healthy right now. Are they going to be healthy with the playoff run?
Yeah.
And now that they're healthy, and it's kind of like, hey, like we're good to go. We're like we're good to go. Everyone's good. Like we're going to beat you up now. And I agree with that. Like that's all they've been doing this playoffs is like just rushing people
Yeah.
and just making your whole team tired. And then just, hey, we still have other people who can run. Jalen Hurts, you see that dude throwing the ball. He can also run for 100 on you if we wanted him to.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good game. I think it's probably went back to that question. I think it was Gene's question or on the Chiefs seats about what was the most entertaining Super Bowl. Or it might have been your question, Kyle, on the Chiefs seats. This might be the most entertaining Super Bowl because obviously
On paper, definitely for a
two
while.
entertaining QBs. But now, I mean, I'm not sure if we have any more to talk about, but I mean, we have some history. I mean, first brothers playing in the Super Bowl, and first black QBs playing in the Super Bowl, starting QBs. So it's pretty big.
And it's the Andy Reid Bowl.
Yeah.
If I don't see
And-
Jason Kelsey get a fullback dive this game for a touchdown, I'm gonna be upset. I need to see that man spike the. I just need to see that man spike the ball, get him a touchdown.
And like Cool McCain said, I don't want to hear the half black Mahomes. He is black. His dad makes up the other black half of him. So no, but it's pretty big. I mean, two starting quarterbacks.
The one downside is Jackson Mahomes. He's back in the
he's white.
spotlight.
He's white, man. That's like.
But it's just like,
Yeah.
if the Chiefs win it, I feel like he's gonna try to
Oh, he's
milk
gonna like
all the
he's gonna-
celebrity he can out of it. It's just
he's
gonna
gonna
be
make
so
TikToks.
annoying.
I don't see how Mahomes like deals with Patrick on a daily basis. Or
It's his
Yeah.
brother at the end of
it's
the
his
day. It's
brother.
one of those
well, I
things.
know,
It's
but like I
like,
know, but it's like,
man, if I was in that situation and that's how my brother was, it'd kind of be one of those situations like, man, at least you're not ruining my career. It's not like he's going off and like
Right.
slandering his name or doing anything like
That's
that.
fair.
It's just
didn't he?
he's just doing his own stuff, and just because he's associated to Patrick Mahomes, that's
I gotta
what
do
gets
my
paid.
research. Didn't he do some? I don't think he dragged his name, but didn't he do something like his first?
He
Yeah,
had
he
an
said
issue
something.
with the Sean Taylor Memorial. I
That-
guess there was a miscommunication, and he did
No.
a TikTok on it, and he was told he was supposed to stand there, and it was on like the memorial
Yeah.
for Sean Taylor, and
Yeah,
everyone
that's what I
was
was
kind of
talking about.
like,
That's-
To be
that
fair,
was-
What's
that
up with
whole
that?
thing, that whole Sean Taylor, someone who the Washington football team is in my market or Commanders now, that whole thing was just a giant debacle. It was embarrassing, and I'm not even a Washington fan. It was embarrassing. It was terrible.
that's the whole Washington franchise. For
that's
you there.
that's more Washington than Mahomes' brother.
Yeah.
Well, I did have one last thing, I guess, to kind of end the show off,
Mhm.
and this is big deal for most Super Bowl people. The good old prop bets.
I
Yeah,
can't
but-
read.
Oh, you can't see that? Hold on.
I can't. It's kind of small.
I just maximize the screen.
Okay. Oh yeah, I didn't maximize it.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, there you go.
All right. So
Oh
looking
my
at
god.
these, we can talk about a few of them.
Okay,
You know,
these are
the
gonna,
ones-
this is gonna be fun.
There's
Yeah,
some good
'cause-
ones here. I like that.
I mean, the national anthem one is one that everybody always talks about. I think it's Chris Stapleton who's doing it this year. So, I mean, 121 and a half, you're looking at a little over 2 minutes. How did you see that one? Over or under?
I mean, how long is the national anthem? It's like a minute or two.
Hey,
No,
depending
I'm
on
taking the
singer,
over.
They'll drag it out as long as
Yeah,
they
man,
can.
I gotta
I'm
take the over. It's the
taking the
national
over.
anthem. They're going to be dragging out in the home of the
It's
Braves,
yeah,
the
it's not-
fireworks.
It's not only the national anthem, it's a national anthem on literally the biggest stage in the world. You're going to get the big drawn out emotions. You're going to get, like you said, on the home of the Brave, there's going to be like a 2-second pause, pyro. I mean, I'm taking the over. I don't bet, I don't gamble, I'm too cheap, but I take the over easy.
Yeah, I think the over.
All right. First offensive play, a run or a pass?
I was gonna say where the coin toss.
Man,
was.
it has to be.
It depends. It depends who gets the ball. If it's Kansas
Okay.
City, I'm taking pass.
I
If
can
it's
see them
Philly,
doing
I'm
like a
taking
curl.
run. Oh,
And, yeah, if it's Kansas City, I could see them running like a 6-yard curl route to somebody like
Yep.
right away. But if it's
Yep.
Philadelphia, I could see them handing off the ball or running like an RPO with Jalen Hurts right away. I'm gonna
probably
say
take
run,
pass. I'd only take pass. I don't feel.
I'm gonna
good
take
about
I'm
it.
gonna take run. I'd be more willing to bet that Kansas City would run the ball first over Philadelphia pass the ball first as their first play.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Who scores first?
That depends on who gets the ball first.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. I'm gonna say Kansas City. I'm gonna say they're gonna kick things off with a field goal.
Yep.
I
I
think
think
you-
Kansas City. Andy Reid is really good. I mean, he's a great coach. Don't get me wrong.
gonna
But
win the
he's
coin
very
toss.
good at those first 15 plays. He's always at his best. It's usually the second half where he starts to unravel. And I'm going to take the Chiefs probably for a field goal. They're probably going to look really good, and the red zone thing is going to tighten up. And
Which team will score first? I think the
receivers
Eagles are
will
going to
make
get
more
it. I think
toughs.
Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is going to throw a bomb to freaking AJ Brown or just Devontae Smith. Not a bomb touchdown, but I'm saying like a couple of drives where just like in the San Francisco game, he had that long pass, which was a catch, I guess. So we'll see.
All right. Let's see the next good one I want to see.
Oh, the
All right,
first
well-
turnover. I think it'll be turnover run downs. The first one. I don't see.
Really?
Really?
It depends
Hmm.
if there's better odds on the turnover on downs, I might go for it because Philly goes for it on fourth down a ton, but they also convert a ton.
Mhm.
If I'm getting really good odds, if I'm looking at this, here I'm talking like as someone who gambles and I never freaking gamble. If I'm looking for good odds on my money, then I would probably lean towards that. But if these are all even odds, I'm probably taking probably going to take an interception.
Now that I think about it, it is the Super Bowl. It's not like we're playing Week 7 against the Colts. It's like this is the Super Bowl. If you get to like the 40, like more teams are going to be like, "Why? I don't really want to punt it here." Like if you're on the 40 and it's 4th and 2nd, I could see a team going for it, no problem.
Yeah, I'd probably lean towards interception.
Yeah, I would lean towards
what-
interception. I would take it because it's going to probably be a pretty good passing type of game. I'd lean towards that, but turnover on downs, I think fumbles the least amount in my opinion.
Yeah.
Fumbles
One
are so
question,
weird with me.
Like one question should back that up. Who throws the pick, or who throws it?
Man, I would say Patrick Mahomes is throwing a straight laser to Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
Yeah,
Would be my guess.
The thing really isn't so much a knock on Mahomes compared to Hurts is the fact that Philly's secondary is
It's just
scary.
Mhm.
I hate Gardner Johnson that the Saints, my team, gave him away for literally nothing. It infuriates me. You got Darius Slay. It's more a knock. It's more a prop to how good Philly's secondary is than Mahomes, who's just going to make an errant pass. I'm not trying to knock him or anything.
Yeah, it's like I can think of so many people on that Philadelphia defense who could get that pick, and then when I go to the Kansas City side, it's like I can think of some players, but like
there's
you
more.
you gotta get to a point. You gotta get to a point where you're like, where did this two play at again? Like type of thing. More notable names.
Will either team score during the last 2 minutes of the first half?
Yes,
I say so, yeah.
yes. If
Yeah.
this seeing that on here, this might actually break my streak of not betting because someone is scoring the last two. There's a field goal happening the last 2 minutes. These two teams with their offenses and their coaches are too smart and too disciplined to not get a point the last little bit in the game. There's no way we end. There's no scoring last 5 minutes of half. No way.
These questions are funny as hell, man. These questions.
Dylan, get you back in here. Okay.
What song will be performed
Yeah, what
first?
song will be formed?
I think it's gonna be What's My
performed
Name.
first?
Either Umbrella or What's My Name. Like, oh nah nah, What's My Name? That's a popular song by Rihanna. Like, or Under My it's gonna be either of those two.
I think
No, you know
Umbrella
what?
might be
Dang it.
later.
Every
Like
time I-
Umbrella's a good song,
every-
but I think it's gonna build in later
Yeah.
to get
Every
the
time
crowd
I-
reinvigorated.
Every time I see these songs, it's like we found love, and I mean they're all popular songs, so it's like it's hard.
I'm gonna say other. I think it's not even one of those songs.
That's probably the smart bet. Take the field.
I mean, I might like what's that song where it's like you needed me. She might do that one.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
sorry
I don't
about that.
listen to enough Rihanna to know all of her
Like,
musical library. I'll be completely honest.
yeah. I mean, hey, I don't know, man. I don't know.
What is the first song
Dylan's
performed
a,
at the
musical-
halftime show?
Umbrella.
Rihanna's the one doing the halftime show. What are the
Yeah.
lists? Umbrella.
We found.
Oh, man.
Where have you been?
I feel
What's
like
My
I feel
Name?
like Umbrella would be a closer though.
That's kind of what we were saying. Like that one's going to be later in the show.
Yeah, I said what's my name for the first one for opener.
That
I'm
would be a
taking
good one.
other.
That would be a
But
good
Dylan-
one.
I
I feel
mean,
like
but
I feel like
Carl
you,
said
I feel like
every
you hear the
other-
startup beat to that and like all the beat playing in the background. That's a good one.
Anyone that's probably around. I think it might be ASAP Rocky.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good one.
That's her man, so why not?
That might be. Well, I mean, this one's just asking yes or no, so definitely somebody's gonna come.
Well,
in.
yes, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe would ASAP Rocky be too obvious? Could it be?
Does
like,
it matter? Don't matter if
I mean,
it's
who
obvious.
seen-
It's still
I
ASAP
mean-
Rocky at the end of the day.
Who else does he associate with? I mean,
There's tons of people.
Yeah, she's
There'll be
done
legends out there.
Drake.
You know,
She's done
You know,
music
where-
with Drake. She's done Eminem, Ti.
I'm thinking it's in Arizona. It's in Arizona, so I'm thinking if there's any big legends that might be in Arizona. There might be someone who comes out if there's like an R&B legend from
I don't
Arizona.
know. I
something
don't
like
know
that.
any artist.
You never know. They always have to do something big. You know, it's not gonna just be one person doing the halftime show. There's gonna be other people
How
performing.
many songs will we play there? Damn, that's a. Well, how long would that happen? For like 30 minutes?
How many songs we play during that? Man, I'd take the under 9.5.
I'm taking
Who
under.
performs?
I'm taking
Who
under.
who performs 9 songs at a halftime show?
Mary
I mean,
J- I think
They're not
Mary
going to
J.
be
Blige-
full songs either. Is a big deal.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to play the whole song, but I think it's going to be under 9.5. I think it's going to be
Mary J.
right
Blige,
like
her halftime show with Snoop Dogg and last year that was like shorter than what I expected it to be. So yeah, I'm taking
Yeah.
under on that one.
9.5's crazy.
Yeah, 9.5 is way too high. Who will have more passing yards? Mahomes, Hurts. I mean, if you want to throw other,
I'm going to say
that's
Mahomes.
pretty bold.
Total
I'm going
yards is a
Gardner
different
Minshew.
discussion.
Who's the backup
Give
for?
me don't give me another option and get upset when I press other.
Who's the other quarterback for
Chad
for
Henne.
Mahomes?
Oh man.
Yeah, Chad
Oh,
Henne
yeah.
and yeah,
Gardner
Yeah.
Minshew.
Gardner
That'd be-
Minshew.
If it came down to that, whew, that a lot
Oh,
of people would be
man.
mad.
Talk
at
about a
that.
letdown of a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean,
It's
what-
like
what-
it's
I
it's like
mean,
first drive, Mahomes injures his ankle. First drive for the Eagles, Hurts injures his shoulder, and it's like, well, Chad Henne, Gardner Minshew, get ready.
There's a lot of these, man. Jeez.
This is what you paid for, box office.
Who will
Uh,
have the most?
Yeah, most
oh,
rushing
man.
yards.
Sanders. I think Sanders is
think
going to have a
it's-
big game.
I think it's going to be Kenneth Gainwell. I feel
I
like
was
you know,
leaning that. Yeah. Game
I feel like Gainwell's he's one of those type of like I like Memphis running backs a lot. So you got your Darrell Hendersons, Antonio Gibsons, your Kenneth Gainwell. So I pay a lot of attention to Memphis running backs, and like, man, Gainwell's one of those type of dudes. Like he's one of those guys. If you get him into the moment, like he runs angry, and I think he's gonna run angry this game. Like he's gonna like this whole team is I think gonna be like juiced up. Like they're excited. You know, remember the old Philadelphia? Sorry, not to bring this up, Kyle, but like the underdogs, like man.
Mhm.
That team was just they run energized, and I feel like we saw it in the Super Bowl again, and I could see them run energized again. I think Gainwell's just going to run angry. Sanders is more of a shiftier back, so that's
Yes.
why I say it the
Sure.
other way around.
All right. We don't, like I said, we're not gonna go through all of them, but I want to do color of the liquid poured on the winning head coach. I think this one's like the most popular prop bet.
And it's
every
been that way
year.
forever. It's been that way
Yeah.
forever.
If it's the Chiefs, it's red. I feel like the teams always want to try to like kind of go near their colors a little bit
So is
because
it
it
gonna
just
be
looks
like
like
red or-
it looks nicer.
Red or lime? Is it going to be
Yeah,
one
red
of
or
those?
lime.
I'm going to
I'm
go on
gonna go-
I'm going to say orange. I just feel like orange is going to win it. For
I guess
whatever
orange is
reason.
classic.
I'm
Orange is a
saying lime.
classic.
I'm
Classic,
saying-
classic Gatorade color, right?
I'm saying either clear water. Oh, okay. I thought that was like the color of the flavor of the Gary. Lime green. I might go lime green or red or orange, but I have to pick either one.
You got to pick one. You can't
Yeah.
pick 2 1s on bets, man.
Man, I gotta go
Oh,
orange.
dude.
You convinced me on the orange. It's a classic flavor. It's a classic Gatorade flavor. You know that and lemon lime. But like, man, I feel like orange is gonna be one of those ones that more people would probably like too
Sure.
I mean,
over
see-
lemon lime.
See, Dylan knows. He's a Mountain Dew expert, so he knows.
Oh man, I know my drinks. I know my drinks.
You
I'm
drinking?
gonna
What is
throw
that?
blue
Like
out
a
there.
twisted tea right there? You drinking?
No, I'm not old enough. Got like how many more days? 11 days till I can do that legally.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw blue out there. Just
Okay, that's good.
I was thinking blue as well, but
Man, I think about it because it's like, man, they don't get like Gatorades from the store. Like I'm thinking like they get the generic, like the flavors that have 3 or 4 flavors in the powder. So I'm thinking
Yep.
of what can you make in that powder? And I know you can make lemon lime, I know you can make orange, and I know you can make fruit punch. And if the Eagles win, I'm taking out fruit punch because they're not pouring no
They're
red
not doing
Gatorade
red.
on their coach.
how did teams like? How do they like? It's like a big gallon. Like how do they?
Yeah,
It's- it's a
so
mix.
basically, yep, it's a big
Yeah,
mix. It's you
a big
put it.
mix.
Yep,
yeah,
They don't get it from
it's
the
what I had for
store.
football.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can buy them at the store. They have these
Oh,
big
yeah.
tubs, and
I
you
sell
just
them at my
powder.
work.
You dump it in. You pour your water, slosh it around, and
Yep.
Yeah, I sell them at my work.
Is it cold? Is it like a cold? Is it like room temperature?
Yeah, you
Is
can get it put in
cold?
like a cold.
well, yeah, you
cold
just have
jug.
cold water. Yeah,
Yep.
put
Like-
cold water in.
Man, people usually use hose water.
Yeah, ain't gonna kill you.
Uh,
You'll be fine.
Yeah. My players don't care. So
Minerals make you
combined,
stronger.
yeah, exactly. Combined points over under set at 49.5.
I think it's gonna be
I'm gonna
over.
go over.
Well, based on my prediction,
gonna say under.
Going under.
I'm gonna go under. I'll be
I'm
the
doing-
the,
mine
the
was
different one
30-20
here.
Mine was 30-24, right? My score 30-24. So that's-
Yeah, so you're over.
Yeah, I'm over.
I think I would be over, but I'm just gonna say I think this game could get ugly. I just feel like picking under. Why not?
I
A
got
lot of
it.
unders hit on these things for bets. When people bet, unders hit more than overs. But 49, that's a tricky number.
Mhm.
Man,
That's
it's
a tricky one.
49 with 2 prolific offensive teams whose best player is arguably their well, at least their most important player is
Is their
arguably their quarterback. Man, that's rough. Especially when especially when it's Andy Reid. It's like, man, that dude likes scoring points.
He sure does.
Is it? But I'm with Jake. I'm taking the under. Then the last one's probably the biggest one. MVP winner.
Jalen Hurts, the winning quarterback. I
Reddick.
picked the Eagles to win.
I'm
You know, that would I
going-
wouldn't if it's an I'll say this, if it's an ugly game, if it's an under and the final score is something like 17-12, 17-13, it could easily be Reddick where he just blows it up and has like 4 sacks. I
Yeah.
could see him doing that.
I don't know, man. This is always something I will say. Arizona underutilized Hassan Reddick, and I said that from the start. And now that he's blowing up with Philadelphia, I'm 100% fine with him. 100% fine with him winning it. I think he's going to have a big game. Put me down for 3 sacks and a forced fumbled. Maybe he gets a pick in there too. I think he's going to have a great game. And it's
He's
been a
gonna-
while since we saw a defensive player win.
He's going to be a household name after this week. Whether the Eagles win or
He should.
lose, everybody's
He
going to
should.
know because he should already be. I agree with you. But the common fan is going to know, just like other big name defenders like TJ Watt, they're going to know this dude and be like, oh, that's one bad dude.
Would I be mad if I picked not Mahomes or Hurts or Reddick?
No.
I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do.
Yeah,
I'm
because
gonna
the third option is any other player. So
Yeah, it's any other
I'm
option.
gonna pick Kelsey.
Yeah, that's not any bad option
Travis-
at all.
Travis
Like, that
Kelce.
dude's-
That's not a bad option.
how many times did we see that dude get like 4 catches and 4 we saw him get 4
That's
catches
what
and
I'm
4
saying.
touchdowns this
He can-
season.
he can-
Like
he can
it's,
like
it's
a-
possible.
He's like a
Yeah.
ticking time like bomb.
Yeah.
He can go up at any time. So like,
Kelsey
and,
is
and like you said,
a great
Kyle or
choice.
Dylan, like in that, and we were doing our keys to like victories for either team. You said like, oh, if the Eagles let Kelsey catch it with 5 yards and then run after catch for 20 yards, like,
Yeah.
he can run up those numbers. So, but
This is a big
my
game
number-
for both of them, both the Kelsey brothers. Like, man, I'm interested to see like what one does like after the game is over. You know, it's like I'm interested to see that interaction because of course it's your brother and you want to support him in his highest moments, but it's like, damn, you just lost the Super Bowl. Like, ooh. I'm interested to see. And so I'm very proud. I mean, I imagine if you're like their mom or someone, you got to be ecstatic. Like,
The one thing that helps is both these guys have already won before.
yes.
So
that's
it's
always
not
a
like
plus.
that's not like Travis has won and Jason hasn't, or vice versa. Both guys have already won one. This is just to get more for their accolades. But yeah, I'm very curious to see what their interactions are post game, regardless of who wins.
Who's the older brother? Is it Jason?
It's Jason.
Jason.
Yeah, he's like 4, 3, 5, 4. I don't know. He's around 3, 4
He's a
years
little
older,
older.
I think.
Yeah, I'm going any other player as well.
Pick one. You got the Eagles winning.
Yeah, I do have the Eagles winning.
That's
I,
crazy.
mean, I was thinking Reddick because I feel like if you're gonna go defensive, it'd be tough for a secondary guy to get it.
You got to
Their
give it to the edge
secondary's really
rusher.
good. Yeah,
Like
it
the
had to
last
be.
defensive player to win it was what, Von Miller, who was an edge rusher when he was with Denver. So
Yeah. And then offensively,
no,
it was not Hurts.
no, it was
Um,
okay. No, it was Von
No,
Miller. I was
Von
thinking
Miller's the
Malcolm
last
Smith.
defensive
Yeah,
guy.
Von
I was
Miller's
thinking. I was thinking the year before that. I get the Carolina Super Bowl mixed up sometimes with that Seattle one. Sometimes I think it
Yeah.
happened before because it was just a weird lapse of time.
I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah, but I'm pushing for Reddick on this one.
Hey.
And I mean, they like to give it to offensive players, but I just don't see if the Eagles win like AJ Brown going off in such a way that you think he's the MVP.
But
So
also on the flip side, I could definitely see that happening in AJ Brown. Like we haven't really talked about really. I mean, we've talked about them having a good pass game, but it's
Yeah.
like we haven't really talked about them. AJ Brown, for example,
And
or
it's because
like
Hurts
Devonta
has been
Smith.
hurt.
Yeah,
Hurts is
agreed.
He hasn't been hurt. They haven't needed him yet to make those big throws, so we haven't really talked about him because he hasn't. I'm not going to say he hasn't shown up because he's
He had a great
awesome,
Yeah.
and he had a fantastic season. It's just that the situation they've been in, they haven't needed him. And Hurts before the last few weeks in the regular season, they weren't healthy.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Yeah,
But-
literally on the flip note, I could see AJ Brown getting 8 receptions, like 168 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Two
and
touchdowns,
winning Super
yep.
Bowl, winning Super Bowl MVP right there. So same with Devonta Smith, he could do the same exact thing. Like, you know, maybe that the Chiefs are like, we don't have a great secondary. AJ Brown could have a great game, and Devonta Smith pulls, you know, a national championship out of. Like we've seen him do it in big games, so it's not
Yeah.
really that crazy.
He can do it for sure.
Absolutely. But yeah, those are some prop bets. We know it's a big.
That was fun. I like
big thing
that.
at the Super
That was
Bowl.
good. That was fun.
And yeah, I just wanted to have some fun at the end of the episode. But before we
Gamble
get outta here-
responsibly.
Yeah, gamble responsibly.
Yes.
Don't bet your
I mean,
house.
you definitely have to say that. But you know, before we
But
get
if you
out
can
of here,
afford to bet a house, I guess bet a house.
I mean,
I
if you want to
can't.
put it
I
on a
can't
prop
afford to
bet,
gamble $1.
I mean,
Yeah.
does
you're gonna
you
risk
know
it
that
for
dude
$1,000.
Metric like what's that old dude
Mattress Matt.
Mattress Matt, he probably gonna bet
Dude who
like,
bets millions on Texas sports.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like that's a good thing to bet on. That's not the Astros.
yeah. Well, we know Mayweather's probably gonna put big money on something. So
Oh, for
and
sure.
we'll probably hear.
Oh
about it
yeah,
after
I
the
imagine closer and closer to time, we're gonna see probably like you don't got a lot of big KC Mo dudes who support the Chiefs. Maybe Paul Rudd. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you know, on the Philadelphia end, you'll see a lot of big name celebrities out of Philadelphia doing
Like
their Eagles
Kevin-
bets.
Kevin
Kevin
Hart,
Hart.
Yeah, Kevin Hart.
Meek
you'll have a bunch of
Mill.
guys. Yeah, bunch of
Will
guys.
Smith.
Joel Embiid.
Yeah, see, the list goes on from Philadelphia, but when you go to Kansas City, you're kind of like, who's really
Yeah.
repping the Chiefs out there, celebrity wise? There's some names.
Yeah.
I guess his brother, Jackson Mahomes. I guess. We'll do it, but,
Jackson Mahomes.
I might do a little bet, not a big one, maybe like $10 for like probably won't give me nothing though. Like
It's always
You'll be
interesting.
surprised.
I
be
guess
surprised.
the time to do it, like if you ever wanted to do it, I guess the Super Bowl's probably the time to do it.
I mean,
But
when
I
I do
would-
bets, I usually do it.
Personally, I would only do it if my team was in it. That's when I would be like, okay, let's see what we can get done.
That's true.
Seattle was in a Super Bowl.
I'd be worried I'd be tempting fate if the Saints were in the Super Bowl and I
Agreed.
bet on them. I'm like,
Agreed.
karma's gonna screw me
Bad
over.
juju.
I can't.
Bad
like
juju.
when the
Bet
Saints
against
were in
the
the
other
Super
team.
Bowl like 12 years ago, like my phone was off. Like I wasn't having any, like I was media silence because I didn't want to do anything to risk it. So it'd be fun to bet your team if they're in it. Absolutely. But like, I'm such a superstitious person with
Fair.
sports.
Fair.
I'm not going to dare. the
I
Saints to check it.
remember Seattle going to back-to-back Super Bowls, like literally the way I would sit. Like if we played a bad way, I'd be like, I gotta sit back the other way. Like we had a good play the time we
Yeah.
did that. Like
Yeah.
and then we would get a good play and I'd be like, okay, this is it. This is the right spot.
Yeah. Like I only
Yeah.
like
You got
Yeah.
different thought processes
Mm-hmm.
when your team's in that Super Bowl. I imagine Kyle's probably had definitely his rounds with it because you've been just a lot win or lose.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, actually, when it came to the Super Bowls for me, I would kind of just sit back and just let
That's
whatever
because he
happen
had so
happen.
many. Got used to
He
it.
was he was like I've seen like 13 of these. We're
Someone else
chilling."
could have it for a minute.
He was like we didn't win this year. Oh, don't worry, next
We'll
year's
be
fine.
fine
Next year's
But
already
Kyle, were
here.
you always a Patriots fan or so no bandwagon fan?
Nope.
So
Born and raised in
I
Boston,
guess with
cool.
you, like what year did you really start like
Yeah.
go keeping up with the Patriots? Really like this is my team, like repping them.
So for me,
Let's
Probably
do the
the
quiz
90
on Kyle real quick.
the '96 Super Bowl with Green
With
Bay,
Green Bay,
and-
okay.
and New England. I was definitely a fan of them.
Who was the
then.
cornerback that? Who was the cornerback that year?
Oh,
Yeah,
that's-
yeah.
So,
Who's
Who's
the
the
starting
offensive
quarterback and who's the passing yards?
Who's the offensive coordinator that year?
I believe. Well, let's see.
Yeah,
the
5
coach
seconds.
was Bill Parcells.
Like.
I know that. Quarterback was Drew Bledsoe.
Okay.
Who was his offensive coordinator? I honestly can't remember who the offensive
Oh,
coordinator
man.
was. Anyway, I mean, whatever.
I'm just
Nice
Nicely
I-
right.
I
No
was
one
a fan
expects you to
before
remember
that.
the Super Bowl
I'm
from
just-
that long. We're just
Yeah,
messing
but I
with
mean,
you.
I was a fan of theirs probably about '92 area. is
Dark
when I
times.
started,
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean I remember like the end of like the bad Patriots teams, and then when it started to finally turn around, Parcells era, Pete Carroll was wedged in there for a few years. The whole Belichick saga, him being like the Browns coach for a day, the Jets coach for a day, and then becoming the Patriots coach, and I was like, I don't know how this Belichick guy's gonna work. And now 20 odd years later, it's like he's the greatest coach they've ever had. So yeah, I rep all Boston sports, but I'm in Atlanta now, so I do pay attention to Atlanta sports as well.
I'll say this for me as a Super Bowl fan, like watching when the Saints were in it. That was as far as just enjoyment of a normal game, is like friends, food, snacks, relax.
Yeah,
It was the
food,
worst
man.
Super Bowl because for me, I'm usually like hanging out with friends, have tons of food, and I didn't eat until like the game was over. Like I was just like tunnel vision, and I was my parents and I'm just like sitting next to my dad, and I'm like, I'm not enjoying this now. When Tracy Porter picked off Peyton Manning,
Yeah.
I was losing my mind and like just screaming, and then I could relax, and it was the last like 3 minutes of the game were great, but leading up to it, like you're like losing a Super Bowl is gut-wrenching as a fan.
Like, who'd y'all play in that
Yeah.
Super Bowl?
The Colts.
The Colts. Yep.
See, the Super Bowl is interesting with me because
Manning.
Seattle went to back like we've only been to 3, and I wasn't really old enough to really kind of enjoy Seattle the first time we went. It was 2005. I was born in 2002, so obviously not a really great time. But the first time we went, we played Denver, and we just beat the crap out of Denver, 43-8. Like one of the best Super Bowl performances you could have as a team. And the next year after that was that Patriots one where like it was a nail biter. Jermaine Kearse gets that close catch. Chris Matthews, the dude who's kind of been on our practice squad, not really doing anything, just goes crazy. And then to lose it that way, it was kind of like, man, to win the way we did, the win the way we did, just pure domination to, having this close game that we could have won. It's just takes a lot out of you. That really tested my fandom. Like when we passed that ball, I was like, damn.
And I'll say this, Dale, not to like rub salt in your wounds, because that's the last thing I want to do, but not just the fact that you passed the ball, but looking back at that game, the way that Pete Carroll handled the clock after the Kearse catch seemed really bizarre. Like they had, I think if I remember right, they had to call a timeout because they're going to get a delay of game right after the Kearse catch. Like they have to review it. You're going to go to the line with like 3 or 4 plays. Why are you having to burn a timeout? It just felt like Carroll got outcoached, and that game, to go from like I remember for the Broncos Super Bowl, I was at my parents and I was upstairs, had my plate full of food where our kitchen was, saw the kickoff, walked downstairs to where our big screen TV was. By the time I got downstairs, it was 2-0.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I remember that.
how does it go 2-0 when I walk down 8 stairs? Like, how is that even possible? Like
I remember that. I remember literally the first snap. Like I took like a deep breath. Like I had my plate of food there. I think I was at like my uncle's because I think my parents had to like work really, really late that night. And so I was just like kind of sitting there and I was like, okay, this is the first snap. You know, I really wanted us to be on offense first. I was like, I want us to set the tone. And then I was like, okay, we're on defense. That's a little scary. Let's see how Peyton Manning does. And just that over snap, I was like, it's game.
Set the
like,
tone. Set the tone.
I was like, it's game. They're too nervous. Like Peyton Manning might be ready for this moment. Nobody else on the
They weren't
Broncos
ready.
is.
Right.
I want to ask one question, and we didn't talk about this beforehand. What is for your Super Bowl like watching experience? What is your one must-have food? Whether it's a main dish or a snack, what's the thing you have to have for it to be like a legit Super Bowl party?
Oh, that's
Yeah, for me,
I'll go first. I'll let you guys think about it. I'll go first. I said this because mine's unique. Mine is sushi. I have to have sushi. And the reason is Super Bowl parties when I was a kid, the first Super Bowl I actually remember watching, like physically watching, was the Packers Patriots. And my dad brought a friend from work, and his wife was from Japan, and she handmade sushi rolls. And I was
interesting.
in 96, I was like 8 or 9. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'll try it. And I loved it. And she came for like 3 or 4 more years, and she always brought sushi. So it became a tradition in our household. We always have to have
What
sushi.
kind of like California rolls?
Oh man, we go better. We go for like unagi. We go for spicy tuna. Like we go for
like,
real
we do the
stuff.
works.
And
okay.
and so whenever I tell people like, "What'd you have for the dinner for Super Bowl?" Like sushi, people look at me weird, but like it was part of my growing up. And so I just want to see what other people have for your must-haves.
I think mine changes every year. I mean, I'm a big chicken guy, so chicken has to be. So I'm gonna give you my palate, Super Bowl palate. So you gotta have the pregame snacks: the chips, the pretzels, the Cheetos, the Chex Mix. You gotta have the drinks on the side: Tropicana, fruit punch, lemonade, iced tea. When the real game or when the game starts and the real stuff happens, then I'm a big chicken guy. So I gotta have chicken wings. I'm a big Chick-fil-A guy, so maybe a platter. Some chicken strips. Maybe some chicken dip. Some buffalo chicken dip.
He's like,
He's
I'm
all
going
for
off,
chicken.
You're
man.
all about that chicken.
Some mac
Like,
and cheese. And it's like
Jordan, I'll say like chicken wing, like buffalo wings are probably second on my list for must-haves after sushi.
yeah. So my question to you is it from a restaurant or do you get it from the Costco and
We do a restaurant. There's so when we lived in Utah, there was a nice little place that we went to that was really cheap. And then where I live now in Virginia, there's this really awesome restaurant that we go, and it's like I don't want to say like 5-star quality. I don't want to boast of it, but it's like you eat it and you're just like, oh yeah, this is delicious.
it's like you know you're getting it from the right place.
Yeah, it's because the thing is with sushi, and let's just talk about like a food thing. But like if I go to Costco or to a grocery store, it's like $12 for a roll. It's like $16 at the restaurant. I'm gonna pay a few dollars more and make it like legit over Costco or something.
Right. Yeah, so definitely the buffalo chicken dip, crab maybe. Well, until I'm in Jersey, not much, but crab dip maybe. But I'm in Jersey, so I mean Maryland is known for their crabs and their Old Bay, but here you're not really in Jersey. And you have to have, since I'm 24, you gotta have the liquor on deck, man. The Henny bottles, the Ciroc bottles, like that's my cap for the night. Like the liquor, man. Yeah, but chicken has to be on the table. Maybe a little healthy, some fruit, maybe some like a little fruit platter, to keep it light.
The app.
Other than that, yeah, I mean that's mine. But it's what I think this year I went to my homie's house on a Sunday. We're having like pizza and wings, kind of keeping it simple. A couple beers.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm from Kansas. I lived in Kansas, so barbecue was pretty hefty. We had a lot of pulled pork. We had a lot of ribs. People were making brisket. So it's like I lived also out in the country too. So it's like that stuff was even pushed more heavily too. So I had a lot of barbecue, which is fine. I love pulled pork. I love stuff like that. Nachos, like nachos a lot. I feel like, that's kind of a classic, something quick and easy. You can load it up. I like doing that as well. This is actually going to be my first Super Bowl where I won't be around like a big group of people doing like their own party. I'll just kind of be at home with my girlfriend for the Super Bowl. So, I mean, imagine what we're probably going to be doing. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's probably like pizza, nachos, and probably like some barbecue meatball type of thing. Just a little thing to grab really quickly and just sit back down.
That's what my dad loves doing. He likes making barbecue meatballs.
I mean, no West Indian food, no rice.
Nah,
not really
Super Bowl Sunday. My mom's not trying to be in the kitchen. Nah, just little
do it.
Things you can
Just
grab and be like,
I forgot one thing. Potato skins. Oh, love
I
those.
guess that's good. I haven't had those.
Like
in a
the
while.
TGI Fridays, at the shop.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff.
Put them in there. That's my fellow sticks. I mean, man, I'd go on for a day about food, man.
I'll send you guys a picture. Last year, I took a picture of our Super Bowl spread, and it was our entire kitchen, and there was 3 people. So I'll send it in the group chat. It'll be pretty good. It'll be pretty legit.
You got to eat for them commercials. They're anticipated for as well.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. Doesn't Gronk have his Super Bowl like kick field goal? He has to make whatever for like 100 million.
Yeah,
I would love to be just in a position like Gronkowski. Just people just pay you tons of money to go kick a field goal at the Super Bowl because you're literally Gronkowski and you're fun and you can do whatever. Like, I guess that's cool.
Yeah.
It's it's cool. Like, I've never been a huge Patriots fan, but I like how Gronk makes fun of himself and leans into it. Like when I see him on TV, it's like, you know what? He's funny. I didn't like seeing him on Sundays because he always seemed to win, but like he's funny, and it'll be good. I'll be watching that for sure.
I'll be makes it. That'd be funny.
Oh, me too. Me too.
I heard I'm not sure what state. But it might have been like the Midwest states, but I think I heard they are trying to put in legislation after the Super Bowl to make that Monday a holiday, like a national holiday or like a state holiday. So like
that's most football cities.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's for sure.
No, but I don't think it's official though. Like for other states.
Yeah, it's not.
No, it's
not.
That
That's
state,
thing to do.
I'm not sure.
But
I think it might be Indiana. Might want to go to state law or whatever to make it.
I'm not sure if it was the same for you guys or if you ever lived in an area that it happened. So living in Kansas, I lived in the state of Kansas, so we take credit for like the Royals and the Chiefs wins as well too. When the Royals won their World Series, we got off of school. Like everyone was off of school. Everyone was at the parade. We had teachers calling in. We had the subs calling in. And that was wild. I'm pretty sure everybody was there. And then the same with the Kansas City one, like everyone called in. It was like literally when the Chiefs won, it was like known. Like we got like a call literally like 10 minutes later from the school district being like, hey, like, I think it's obvious the Chiefs just won the Super Bowl. Like school's canceled tomorrow. So I'm not sure if you guys lived in an area where your team actually won or you had to like get off or anything like that, but that's how it was with me.
Yeah, I never had a local team that's been like a major team because I lived either in Oregon or Utah, now Virginia. But I think, like, can we at least make it like remote work for the people that can do that? Just so like if you're like hungover or something, you can just crawl to your computer, or if you're ate too much and your stomach's all jacked up, you don't have to deal with all that stuff. Like,
yeah, I know it's crazy to say because I'm a true Ravens fan, but like prior to this year, I'd never been to like a Ravens game, home game. So like when we won the Super Bowl that year, like 2012, 2013, we didn't have a day off, but like I took the day off. I was in high school at the time, like my sophomore year maybe, and like I was like, Dad, yo, Pops, we gotta go to this parade, man. Ray Lewis gonna be there, like everybody's gonna be there. And we went. Traffic was crazy because Baltimore around that Inner Harbor area was hectic, and crazy. Like they opened one of the gates for us to. It was free to get in there as long as you can get onto the field and everything. And like my dad, it was a lot of people. It was a lot of like skirmish and everything. I mean, I made it inside the gate of the stadium, and my dad was on the outside. He was like, "Oh, security guard, can you like bring him in, like to the media door, or whatever?" Like that's my dad, and he's like, "Yeah, bring him in." And then like, so people were trying to get into the media room. Like he's like, "Oh, this man getting in. What can I?" So there's a whole problem. So like we had like 5 cops like push me and my dad out. I was pissed, yo. I was in there. And my dad wasn't, and we got like, even though the event security guard was like, "Yo, bring your dad in, it's fine."
Oh, that sucks.
And it raised his capacity because Ray Lewis, Joe Flacco, they the whole team. Like,
That would definitely suck.
But
I remember
I
when
got to-
Seattle. I remember when Seattle won their first time. Of course, I lived in Kansas, so it's not like I got to go to the parade or anything like that. It was I got to stay home from school. It was one of those things like I had some Broncos friends as well too, so I was kind of like maybe pushing to go to school and kind of just be like, "Hey, what's up?" But no, like I ended up. I think there was a sports store in Kansas, and they already had like the Super Bowl shirts ready. So like I went and took the day off and like got one of those like instantly.
Yeah. I mean, Boston. It's been like the Red Sox when they first won it. That was, I mean, the city basically shut down because everybody, it was getting to the point where a lot of people were like, "Oh, I will never see the Red Sox win in my lifetime," and then they just turned around and did it. With all the heartbreak that a lot of the Red Sox fans had to go through. So that was a big deal. The Celtics one was probably somewhat of a big deal, only because the Celtics had, the great 80s and all that, which weren't too far away. So when the Celtics won it, it was like, oh, that's cool. But,
It's
how
been
about
a
that
minute,
Red
but
Sox
it's
one?
like, the Red Sox were more important.
Red Sox was a bigger deal, and you beat the
Yeah,
Yankees,
it
and the
definitely was.
story's just better. The story's just
Yeah.
better.
And then the Patriots won when they won it in 01, which was, Super Bowl they weren't supposed to win, plus the significance of being 01 and all that, and all the emotions kind of around everything, and the Patriots winning it that year. That was a pretty special one as well. The ones after that, it was just like, all right, we're here again.
Just more icing on the cake.
Yeah, I mean, people were more upset with like the two Giants wins, of course, because one with the undefeated season that got ruined, and then the other one was that the helmet catch one?
Helmet catch was the same one. The other one was the Manningham catch.
Manningham, yeah, that's what they go. Yeah, Manningham catch, which I mean, I'm not the biggest Eli fan, but I had to give him credit on that throw.
Credit, yeah.
Eli's in the Hall of Fame for 2 games.
I know, and it's so annoying, but I mean, at this point, I've kind of accepted
respect
the fact that he's going to go into the Hall of Fame for, like you said, those 2 games.
Yeah, before we end it, like, did y'all hear that Tom Brady's going to do his career, Fox career in 2024?
I guess that's kind of
in the fall.
key news.
Maybe
I guess
he
they didn't really talk
he
about
did
him
his
retiring.
podcast
did
with
we?
Bill Belichick.
Really, I mean, I don't want to like get off topic
Yeah,
here. or
yeah.
whatever,
No, but yeah, he's waiting a year. I feel like,
Smart.
yeah,
Give yourself
no,
a year
no reason
to
jump into it right
to
after.
decompress.
Exactly. Well, also
Yeah.
with that
I heard
being said,
his
give him a
thoughts.
year just to like learn the craft. Like I get he talks sports and stuff like that, but there is definitely some training. There's definitely some
Sure.
things you have to do becoming a sportscaster.
Yeah.
It's not like you just get to sit in a chair and talk football. Like, no, you're gonna have cues, you're gonna have commands, you're gonna have to learn the flow of things. So give him some time. He's gonna
I
learn
heard-
under great people.
Yeah, like I heard that Fox contract he's gonna get is bigger than like what he's earned in
Oh, yeah.
the NFL. Like,
Oh yeah.
like
But-
37 million
broadcast
for
deals.
Fox, and then like,
But
wanna
he
throw
did, to
something-
be honest, he's working a lot year round and a lot more.
That's true.
That's
I want to
true.
throw something out there. Do you think, and I don't think so, but I'm just going to throw conspiracy out here. Do you think he decided to wait a year so that, like in August, if a team needs a quarterback and he's still feeling that itch, he's like, you know what? Oh, man, San Francisco's
Could be.
really wanting me.
Could be.
Okay, I'll go
Could be.
in.
then I saw a quote
You know?
that's saying he did today. I don't know if he said it today or like an old quote. He was like, I still the love of the game is still with me.
Yeah, like
today or
it's
whatever.
almost like it's him giving that year. Is it him so that
excuse me.
he refuses to shut the door, and that year is going to give him that chance to like keep it open just a crack. That's
He's
just
like, I'm going to be doing this broadcasting training on the side, but if
if
Trey
the right
Lance
team
goes
comes
down
along, man,
if 49ers are calling me in like November, being like, hey,
you want
you
that
know.
8th ring?
Kyle Juszczyk's going to start at quarterback. We need you.
The only reason why I don't think is because, like I said, the podcast that he had, where he had like Peyton Manning on, he had Bill Belichick, which surprised a lot of people. He had
Why are
Mahomes
they getting
and
that
all
as
these
your
guys.
first podcast? Only
was-
Tom Brady could get like literally 17
Right.
legends to join his first podcast.
But it almost seemed like he brought those guys on to kind of like celebrate his career, and
You know,
especially getting Belichick to do it.
Getting
We know
Bill, that's a
Belichick
big deal.
is
That's a
not
big
doing
deal.
A lot of podcasts, so
I
feel
don't
like-
think he's coming back, and I think this is
Yeah.
like even the fact that his announcement was him and not that it was like he had more control over it. I agree, but just want to throw out there a little fun, little,
Yeah,
hey, what if he
obviously.
gives this year? Because on like a slow news day in August, people are going to be talking about that in the media.
Yeah.
Can Tom Brady return for San Francisco next
you're
on
gonna hear on like a random radio report had an interview with Tom Brady, and he said he's kind of interested in football, and like it's gonna be blown out of proportion. And, like it's gonna be July, and it's gonna be like Tom Brady coming back, and it's like, didn't you just retire? Like, don't do this again.
Yep.
Or be like him working out, and everybody be like, he looks like he's in football.
He looks
shape.
great.
Why not?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say he can still throw the football.
Yeah.
He's gonna be throwing like a 46-yard like bomb, just like a 80-yard bomb to someone with no helmet.
To Gronk. It's gonna be to Gronk.
Yeah, he's gonna be wearing no pads, no helmet, no nothing, nobody chasing him. He's just in a clean pocket.
He doesn't even have the red jersey on, right? Not even a red jersey, practice jersey.
He's gonna be in Florida. He's going to be in Florida wearing shorts, and people are going to be like, he could still play. It's like, man, my grandpa can make that throw in shorts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're going on a little long here, but I felt like it was worth it for Super Bowl week and all that. Had a lot to get.
Got to celebrate.
Absolutely. And with it being the last week of games, the football content kind of dies down a little bit before we get into more draft and free agency and offseason stuff. But I mean, the Tom Brady talk was probably a great way to end the episode. Thank Michael and Coach who were in the chat earlier on. I saw like a few people jumping in throughout the show, so definitely appreciate that. Definitely hit the subscribe button for Sports Empire Network. Great shows, a lot of great personalities as well, and even new shows that are coming and just different things for 2023. So make sure you hit the subscribe button so you're kind of caught up on all that. So for myself, Jake, Jordan, Dylan, I mean, I guess it's another show in the books. I'm assuming you don't have any final thoughts because the Tom Brady stuff is kind of final thoughts anyway. Yeah.
So. If you guys watch UFC, if I can recommend any event, watch this one. You're gonna have literally when I say pound for pound 1 or 2, you can go to the UFC's pound for pound best rankings, and they're literal 1 and 2. So if I could recommend a fight card to watch this weekend, this would probably be it. You get to see the best of the best fight. So there's that. That's my final thought.
Yeah. No, definitely bring that out there. But yes, that's another Big 3 podcast in the books. We're here every Tuesday, 7:00. You'll get all 4 of us. Like Jordan said, he's a little late, but we're here at 7:00 every week. So make sure set your alarm calendar, whatever you got. 7:00 every Tuesday. We're here bringing you some laughs, hot takes, predictions, all that good stuff. So yeah. So with that, have a good night, and we'll see you next week.